because every year is less of a fraction of your life. When you've lived like, 30, 40 years, 50, 60 years, it's just like 1 year is such a sliver.
Did you hear this?
No, I got to.
So it turns out that we might have actually not been live
to be chat.
that entire time that I was doing the opening entry. So hi, everybody.
Good morning.
We started off pretty much normally, but we might not actually have been streaming that entire time. So let's start this rewind. I don't know if you go all the way back to.
Yeah, we can go back to.
All the way back to
Sharif and ADRs.
No, we don't necessarily have to. We can. Okay, we'll throw it back to them, but just picture that I usually went through that normal opening call. Welcome to everybody. So we got two more trading days left in the year. Went over what was moving as well. And whoa, what the heck?
Here we go.
Huh?
Wind it back now. What the?
Huh? Okay, I guess that's how it's going to be. Welcome to Trader TV Live. It is
two more days.
2 more days left in the trading day. Yeah. Okay. So obviously, I'm looking in the chat. Everything started it looked like it was normal. I'm checking my program monitor.
Hey,
it's like okay, yeah. Well, we're here. Everything is back to normal. Hopefully, after that little bit of a rough start. No, but. Yeah, again, I don't really know how much you guys heard or you didn't hear, but all we really need to focus on, I think, and what I was sort of saying is, if it moved yesterday, it's in play today by default. If you're a day trader or you're focused on what to trade on a day like today, you're going to have lower volumes today and tomorrow. You're not going to have ridiculously huge announcements. You'll have some stories and then things that have momentum, like Micron, like silver, of course, gold. Talked about crypto. Tesla's been moving around a bit. And some Chinese ADRs are moving around. You got Baidu making moves. You got XPeng making moves. So there are certainly things to trade. It's just not going to be your traditional. I believe in the whole hit it and quit it kind of mentality. In and out a little bit faster unless you have a very distinct trend. So yeah, two trading days left. We have Fed meeting minutes at 2 o'clock. Obviously, that may or may not move the markets. I'm leaning to the probably not going to be as big of a deal as you think. We already know we're not likely to get a cut in January, Obi, but Obi in for Sean. He's back tomorrow, and G's at a tournament in Buffalo, which is a fantastic city. As I said yesterday, the home of the best quarterback in the entire nation. Well, the entire league, I should say. But Obi, it was a fun one yesterday, but really, there was a small cluster of stocks that
that are in play. That were technically in play. Yeah, for sure. And I was just saying, today, it's going to be pretty much more of the same. We'll hear any sort of new developments that might be coming in. But same thing as yesterday. I'm watching silver. I'm watching Micron as well. Micron all-time highs once again. Silver pushing right back up into and through prior day highs. So that's coming back up into 70s. I think Blue Ocean highs from last night, or no, not last night, the night before were 72s or 71, something like that. We're pushing back up into some of those levels here right now. But yeah, are we going to throw it back to Sharif and Adara to give us a little bit of the rundown for the morning?
All right, take two, guys. Sorry about that. The blank screen. Adara, we have a whole bunch of headlines to get to. What are some of them?
I want to start here again with these AI plays, specifically in the Mag 7 space. Meta out here with another acquisition to end the year. This time it's called Manus. We'll talk more about that, of course. Then we've also got Microsoft. Financial Times reporting that CEO Satya Nadella is going into quote-unquote founder mode and really trying to get their AI off the ground beyond their partnership with OpenAI. Then Tesla is also going to be at watch, of course, a Mag 7 player. And they've got Q4 deliveries just around the corner. Bayard weighing in a positive way for this one. Boeing also with a contract. But I think definitely these Mag 7 and AI plays, along with silver, are going to be one to watch.
All right, a lot of AI chip names are going to be in play today. One from this side of the world, the U.S. granting temporary China equipment licenses. So the likes of SK Hynix, Samsung, they're going to be able to sell some advanced chip-making equipment to China. Obviously, that has some corollary effects on Micron as well. And then out of China as well, they're pushing here for domestic chip equipment. So they're trying to use or source at least 50 50% of their equipment domestically. That obviously has some sort of effect on the likes of Applied Materials and some others that have these tools for chip making equipment. And separately, XPEV also markedly higher to start the morning. Baidu as well, markedly higher to start the morning, I think to the tune of 5%. I couldn't find a headline specifically on that, but one must assume it has something to do with these AI chip plays. So theme is China is in play today, boys. Good morning again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely in play. Okay, you've got your locates there, Obi. Obi likes to do.
Yeah, I mean,
I know, just an aside. Sidhu was moving around yesterday. We talked about this. If it's in play yesterday, it's in play today. But I don't know if you've seen this.
What?
The chart of Baidu versus, let's say, the chart of Alibaba. So this is Alibaba since the beginning of October. This is Baidu, and there's the beginning of October. One of these things is not like the other. While Alibaba's still in a bit of a downtrend. Now, look, you saw the trend line that I have up at Alibaba. I'm still going long when it breaks that trend line on the daily. It's just not doing it yet. But something is breaking out of both, forget about the downtrend, even the wedge that it was forming. Like, you got some higher lows going on here on Baidu. And as Sharif said, like, there's no particular specific catalyst to Baidu, with the exception of there was that Lyft and Uber partnership that was announced yesterday, so they were strong based on that. Certainly, the sentiment has been a heck of a lot stronger in Baidu than some of the other Chinese names. And look, this one, if it's not on your radar today, then it's like it's never on your radar. It's probably the way I want to think about it. It's cleared out a lot in this move already. Like, yeah, it could break out 135. That'd be the next spot. The prior high sits there at like 130 and a half or so. But this is clearly on radar. My only concern would be, it's not Alibaba, but I know what happens most of the time when Alibaba gaps up like this, and it's the painful dip that you have to really wait out in the morning oftentimes. And to me, that's why I look at that level on the daily and I see like in back at like 130 to 130 and a half. Okay, well, if it breaks and can't hold this nice little strong consolidation up here, then you're really waiting. Because if we lose the bid there, then to me, like, the dip buy is not toast until it's through 130 bucks. So you really have to show some patience if Baidu loses the bid. But so distinctly different from Alibaba. We talk a lot about Baba. Everyone, like Charlie Munger, rest in peace, loved Alibaba. Now, lots of people talk about the value there, but it's been Baidu for a few weeks in China in terms of the contemporaries, and it should be on the radar today. You have to find what moves. There's not much that's gapping like this. So Baidu is going to be on my radar for the first time, and I can't remember the last time I had Baidu on my iPad this morning as the symbols on my list. So it's just kind of weird, but that's what happens. You get lower volume days, and sometimes you just got to move to the better horse temporarily.
Yeah, no. When it comes to China, I always like to keep an eye on something like an FXI. Not really doing too much in the pre-market, even though we're showing some relative volume, a bit of a crumble. As you can see here, nothing too crazy traded, but we can just go to the HSI, the Hang Seng Index, to see how that's been doing over the I guess our overnight session. But yeah, decent pull up there, coming back into the high of this range here. So I'll be watching this closely to see if this gives us any sort of significant moves coming into the opening session here. I guess beginning of the week, pretty strong selling on the day here, reverted a decent chunk of that move, over 50% reversion happening coming into the end of the day as well, I guess here. So yeah, this happened the same day, Monday, December 28th, coming in here. Okay, and then it comes right back up Tuesday, at the end of Tuesday. So by the end of the day yesterday, we did revert a decent chunk on there. Yeah, maybe if you're looking at some of these stocks here, PDD or Baba is something I might be watching here, as they are somewhat leaders of that market. And it seems like, there's not really that much of a confluence here, I guess, just yet. But maybe we get some moves coming into the intraday. Oh, there's a little bit of a gap down there on BABA. So I guess BABA feeling that that beta move from the HSI a little bit more than some of these other names here. So maybe watching BABA when it comes to that. But I'm looking at this watch list here right now, and I'm liking this Under Armour that's on there as you know, bit of a gap up here, pushing a little bit higher on low volume in the pre-market session as well. But we've been on a bit of a trend. Taking a look at a higher time frame, just looking at the hourly here, Neil, we're pushing up into prior structure. Pretty decent flush off of this earnings that happened in August. The most recent earnings not really giving us any sort of a move here, but consolidation, breakdown, kind of a slow bleed. But maybe this is the bid that brings us back towards some of these highs here. Pushing up into $5 also makes it a little bit interesting for me. I want to see if and when it does get up to this $5, what will Under Armour do? Do we get above these structures, or do we kind of pull back in? But to be honest, man. Today, it's silver. I think I'm going to continue to look for opportunity on silver. Yesterday, I did call out this trend here. Let's just blow this up a little bit here. This is an hourly chart. You can see we've been trending pretty nicely, and every time we drop into the trend like we did yesterday, we catch a bit of a bid right back up, and we're seeing more of that coming in today as it pushes up into 70. Currently trading at 69.28. GLD as well. I know precious metals are in play. Silver, I like it a little bit more, but I'm watching gold at the same time. Gold with a bit of a gap up above prior day's consolidation highs, not the day highs just yet. Actually, you know what? Is that a day high? Let's go down and check. Okay, we are almost at the day highs, but you can see the selling started in the pre-market, so I want to give that a little bit more precedent here for gold. And then something I'm looking at for platinum is PPLT as well. And these are the three names I'm gonna keep eyes on. I keep repeating them because I think these are good vehicles to kind of look for opportunity. And this is kind of showing us a similar action to that of gold here, kind of pushing up and gapping up into and towards prior day's highs, not really at the pre-market area where the selling began the prior day as well. But yeah, no, gold's doing great, man. Let's gold by the ounce. We talk about that as well. High of 45, coming into 44s here, reverting that strong flush that we got at the beginning of the week here. So
one of the things that you got to think about. So like, okay, so silver, like you have margin. You had the margin move, which was a bit of a shock yesterday. We still have, and again, someone already asked me in the chat, do you know what bank got liquidated out of or margin called on silver?
Rumors for
again.
JP,
There's rumors of this yesterday. Certainly, we know the change in margin requirements. Okay, that was a bit of a shock. Then you have these rumors. You still have silver has been. Not to tinfoil hat anything, but like silver has been one of the, what's the right way to say this? It's one of the more manipulated commodity markets, or at least generally is perceived to be so for quite some time. Let's just leave it at that. But you were showing something which I find interesting, and why I think there's still a lot of dip buyers in it. It was that gold-silver ratio, which is still incredibly out of whack historically, and would seem to suggest that there would be a long way to go in terms of those coming back to each other. But there's a lot of things that are very different here. Like we have a market, we have the SPY literally at the highs, right? At the same time that we have like some of, in theory, like safe havens, but also look, there's uses for silver too. But safe haven metals up at tops and breaking out and going parabolic. That's a pretty unique situation that we find ourselves in. But what's good about it for the day trade aspect is it just means more volatility. You've just got to be incredibly patient. Like yesterday, silver was super weak, yet there were all, like, you could have had multiple longs. So I had PDD up, I don't know why. But there were like multiple good bounce opportunities. Right? Like lots of volatility, but like a couple of good bounces, double bottom at 64. There were some trend breaks that happened on SLV yesterday. And for everyone out there that's asking, here at Real Trading, we trade the ETF instead of spot futures, right? Like if you're in, and the reason why is if you're like you have an account, you have multiple trading accounts. under your trading ID. Like you can have an equity one with equity buying power and equity risk. You can have futures with futures buying power and CME risk, let's just say. You can have the same thing for Forex, and you can have the same thing for crypto. But it's just if you've built up your account, your buying power and your risk on the equity account, then you're going to trade ETFs because, or you could just go over and take the time to build up your account on like one of the other assets. So because of that, you'll see people trade the Qs. Like Sean will trade the Qs instead of the actual futures, and it's the same thing with SLV. It's just a matter of preference. Like this is where the buying power and the risk is for most accounts because that's what you usually trade, and it's just easier to move it like a stock. I also saw someone in the chat saying they saw a lot of size on the bid-ask of SLV. I'll tell you, I haven't seen anything abnormal this morning. I've got it up. I can tell you there's nothing incredibly abnormal about it. I haven't seen any big locked markets or crazy orders. Like we would yell out, oh my goodness, huge size on the bid or ask if we saw something abnormal. But for sure, metals are going to be on the mind. For us, it'll mean looking at SLV and GLD usually. But I understand if we say prices, just know that we're talking about the price of the ETF and not spot silver. It's just a trading vehicle that we use. But I want to get, if we can throw back to Sharif or Derek, either one of you. What are your thoughts on this whole? Because there's a lot of people talking about this rumor, this bank rumor. Okay, so somebody had to get liquidated out of a silver position. Sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire, but I have seen not much confirming it. So what do you think? Tinfoil hat, or do you think there might be something there?
Tinfoil suit.
I personally haven't heard anything. Have yourself?
I looked into it a little bit on X yesterday. As you guys know, I frequently do, and the vibe I get from it is a lot of people are assuming that this is bogus. Again, that's not confirmed, but I think the fact that there's no bank name, the fact that people are trying to swirl around, I think people are trying to make this into something that it's not. That's at least the interpretation that I'm getting from other people here on X with obviously more knowledge than myself. So that's kind of my take on that. You guys know also I'm generally a bit skeptical about things like this. I think the CME raising the margin in silver, from my understanding, is the bigger thing here.
All right, guys, let's talk a little meta over here. Interesting acquisition of a company called Manus, which has its origins, I should say, in China. They did move to Singapore. So Meta announced the acquisition of Manus, which is a Singapore-based developer of general-purpose AI agents. They kind of build these autonomous AI agents. They complete complex tasks like market research, coding, advanced data analysis, much like we've seen with Claude Code or OpenAI's own internal coder. They claim that they have an annualized revenue of about $100 million just 8 months after launch. And according to the Wall Street Journal, the deal is supposedly going to close at about $2 billion, which is roughly in line with what they were looking to raise for the last funding round. Can you tell us more about this, Adara?
Yeah, so I think one thing important to know here, as Sharif mentioned, founded in China, now based in Singapore, but apparently even though they laid off a lot of their Beijing staff, they still have partnerships maintained with the Quen AI team over at Alibaba. So that I think is pretty significant. Now the company also, I think what might have drawn Meta to it is the fact that apparently they actually claim performance superior to OpenAI's deep research agent in certain benchmarks. We know Meta and OpenAI are kind of in this back and forth. If Meta's taking one of OpenAI's chief competitors, that's a good look for MET. And
Microsoft actually started testing this, guys, I believe on Windows 11 back in October. So there are roots to North America. It's not an exclusively China or Asia-based system. So should be interesting to look there, guys. Meta not really doing a whole lot right now, but at least it's green.
Yeah, Manus had a deal with, was it? It might have actually, it was Bob or Baidu, one of the bigger firms that was just announced like months ago. So Manus they're not messing around. It's not just a cool character. Well, I guess it was Mick Manus from The Usual Suspects. That was a great movie. You seen that one?
Which one?
The Usual Suspects?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, trust me, like Obi, throw that one onto your list of films that you really want.
Guys, you're so safe.
Dude, I'm not finishing this list until I get to like 50 or 60. Even if I watch like a movie a day.
That's the whole point.
Crazy. This is crazy.
But Mick Manus was a cool character. No, but Manus, the company, again, like they've got deep roots into China and still some partnerships over there. But at the end of the day, like for Meta, I think we said this about Meta yesterday, and it didn't happen yesterday, and I don't know that it's going to happen today on this story, but if just taking like the longer term view of Meta, because I don't see this range, if you come to the chart for a second, I don't see this range necessarily breaking today or tomorrow. Like this whole stay in between the 50 period on the daily, which is a teal line, and then the 200 periods up here. So you got support and resistance at the two major moving averages. And until we bust out of that, it's kind of like I just assume it's going to be a range-bound trade. So if that doesn't happen, like what are we looking at for Meta right now? Okay, what this tells us is Zuckerberg and Meta are still all in growing with spend. They're making acquisitions. They're hiring people. They're continuing CapEx spend. So if you think of it this way, if there's an AI bubble that's bursting next year, then Meta's probably one of the ones that's in trouble, in addition to a few other frothy names. But if there's still plenty of time to go, then a lot of people are really underestimating Meta's potential for a couple of reasons. Hey, they still make a ton of cash, and if this bubble is not bursting, and this is the right time to be spending for the next year, still a couple of years, then I think they're positioned pretty well. And again, like I said, they have a lot of cash to be able to do this. That said, it's not like they're not using any debt whatsoever, so there is some risk involved. I just don't see the day trade until we break this little malaise that we're in this consolidation. When it happens, and don't get me wrong, when you can wait something out, and then when it breaks the consolidation, it gets fun again. And I think that's what we're waiting for here on Meta. I'm not sure this story is going to do it. It's just a continuation of a trend that we have been seeing for Meta. It's probably a good thing that it's settled down after making those lows at around 580 and it's continuing to make higher lows. But it just has not made that next breakout. If and when it does, I know I'm going to be involved. It's certainly on the day trade side of it, and possibly also adding to a long-term position if it breaks up, obviously. But for now, I think you're just waiting for Meta to, I don't have that poke me button, the whole poke me, do something, but that's what you're waiting for. Because inside this range, I'm not playing. It's a $660 stock. Like that range is 674 to 656. So it's like less than a $20 range for an over $600 stock. And yeah, okay, fine. I said 67. Will be not the same thing. It's like that doesn't count, man. It doesn't count. Whatever. It doesn't make sense.
Counts.
It doesn't count.
I'm looking at when it comes to Meta. I'm looking at the monthly chart here. Yeah, it is. It's some of the ranges are the average daily range has been kind of increasing. You can see here on the grind up, pretty consistent buying. The breakout was nice here. That happened in February of 24, and then we've just been making higher highs, higher lows, some strong dips, holding that area here as well, that prior consolidation area, and we're coming back into some interesting levels. I just want to go down to an hourly chart here. I do have a couple of anchors that are sitting around. The most recent one from prior earnings, right? So this earnings report right here, we had a strong sell-off, kind of a slow consolidation, and then a bleed or trend down, I guess. We broke that. We've reclaimed the anchored from the most recent earnings right here, held it as support, and attempting to kind of sandwich between this one and one from before, one from where this bid kind of started coming in even prior to this earnings report here in May of 25. So those are the few things that I'm watching. Yeah, I know I don't have an anchored on this earnings, but this is a little bit more significant to me right here. This most recent one where we did get that pretty expansive move to the downside here, coming back into some prior support levels. But yeah, going back to the monthly here, you can see here pretty solid trend to the upside. Let's see where this takes us. I'm watching some of these range highs and lows, but in terms of intraday, I'm not really too interested in it. I think maybe if you can find technical setups intraday, daily breakdowns, breakups, anything like that, I think it could be something to that's worth looking at. But as of right now, yeah, I think the story is definitely developing. It's always going to be cat and mouse chase between some of these companies being like, okay, no, we're going to release a report that we're doing so much better, and then another company or OpenAI is going to be like, oh, we're doing so much better in these things, and then it's great publicity. Maybe it creates some sort of strong sentiment in investors' minds, and then you see that maybe follow through here on the price action. So we'll see how that Meta story unfolds.
Cat and mouse game, a little Tom and Jerry action.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the desk. I believe we have some upgrades and downgrades.
More like positive analyst notes and one downgrade. It is a little bit of a lighter day today, but I'm going to give you guys what I have. None of these, I want to clarify, are upgrades in the true sense. We have some initiated coverage, so I'll start with those. Freedom Capital initiating coverage on both gambling.com and Euro Copper here. ERO actually up about 2.5% so far this morning. Now, Rubrik, this is a name that had their earnings earlier this month, I believe, getting a $105 price target and a positive analyst rating here initiated by Stevens. Last but not least, in this upgrade side of things, we've got Deckers, DECK. This name has been pretty beat up this year, to put it mildly. This is just a reiterated rating here with a $157 price target and a positive rating, with the analyst being UBS, saying that Hoka, which of course is one of Deckers' brands, is doing quite well right now. Then we've got the downgrades, or downgrade to put it more accurately, MREO. This is the second downgrade in 2 days for Mereo Biopharma. Today from Jefferies, from what I read, it looks like they had some negative trial results because Jefferies cut its price target in this stock from $7 to 50 cents.
So basically that downgrade board says, Mereo Biopharma, we hate your guts. We hope all the bad things in the world happen to you and only you and no one else. The Player Haters Ball is one of the greatest skits of all time. Another great skit, and this is for you, Sharif. I'm talking about the Chappelle Show, by the way. I'm going to get to gambling.com in a second, but I have to make a Chappelle Show reference because I just made one and now I have to make two because good things come in pairs. One of the most underrated Chappelle skits of all time was the bowling and one, where it's like, instead of regular bowling, like he's doing like all like the stupid silly tricks. I had completely forgotten about that one, and I was doing some on the train this morning. I was watching some funny stuff because sometimes it's good. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna get deep for a second.
Yes.
There was a speech, sometimes it's just good to laugh, but there's a speech that was made by
all the time.
Jimmy V. He was a college basketball coach, Jim Valvano, I believe his name was.
Okay.
And ESPN has this award. They have this award named after him. And when he won this award, he gives a speech. And one of the things he said is like, every single day, find a way to laugh.
Yep.
Always, if you can laugh, if you can cry in a day, then you've had a good day. Like it's just like it's so simple. Like give somebody a hug, and it's true. It's like that's a full. He's like, it's a full day. And that's all you need. I'm like, every single day, I'm laughing at something. And every single day, I want something so great to have happened that it brings me almost to the point of tears. Usually it involves my daughter. That's just how it is. But it was such a cool thing. Anyways, if you find the speech, it's out there. And trust me, you're going to be, you will be uplifted by it.
No, that's a great point, man. You can't be waking up every day and be like, I understand. Everybody has, different life, different perspective, different struggles. That's very much a given. But your perspective will literally change how your day goes. And I say this all the time. It's just like, it's like if you're not happy with the way you're seeing life or whatever, sometimes all it takes is just change the perspective, change those glasses, and your whole worldview will change. Right? It'll be the same thing. You're probably looking at the same thing, but the way you preface that look definitely matters, right? So it's just 100%. Like, I think that's very important. I mean, you see some people just like, they're just so miserable. They just seem so miserable all the time. It's just like, dude, it's not that serious. Also, there's a lot of size on the ask chasing down silver.
Now there's something.
And this guy's been chasing down since 69.30s. This guy's been chasing down.
Shoot, you don't have it up.
Here, I have it up here. I have the chart up here. But taking a look at, let me pull up silver here on this water. Yeah, there you go.
You want to see it?
So yeah, there's been this guy just chasing down. Wow, 68.50s now.
Yeah,
I tried punching in. It's SSR still.
Well, that's right. It's short sell restricted, meaning you cannot hit the bid to go short. But they've been chasing it down. Like the size was primarily about 50,000 shares, but it hasn't actually been filled, and you sort of see it pop up. But what happens is when a stock is short sell restricted, if you want to go short, and why did this not go with it? That's so weird. Usually that's linked. When you want to go short, if you want to hit the bid, the last print has to be green. So it's like it'll fill everybody at once when there's an uptick, because now there's an uptick, so you can actually hit the bid to go short. But nobody was getting short until it filled the offer. Like you couldn't, it was pounding down. So that's what's happening in silver. I was gonna make a pun about, like, silver's gonna be so wild today. It wasn't really a pun.
We can hit gold, because
what I was gonna say about this, the whole like your perspective, and yeah, no matter what your perspective is, gambling.com looks terrible. Which sucks, because if you're involved in a business where essentially you can't lose, it's tough, right? Like it's a license to print money. Like you have a situation right now, like we have so much competition for where everyone's trying to like get rich, right? Let's be real for a second. Like whether it's prediction markets, whether it's just like traditional sports betting, casinos, the lottery. A lot of people treat the stock market like that, which I think is a mistake, but that's to each their own. Everyone's always trying to like, what's the next 10x stock? How do I get rich quick day trading? That's nonsense. Both those things are nonsense. You can find winning stocks. I find like if you treat the market as something which is going to generate wealth for you by investing in quality companies, investing in a base in the overall market, and then using whether it's 10%, I had this conversation with Raheem yesterday when he came by at the end of the day. Some people a little bit higher, some people a little bit lower, and then you put some of it into more risky assets, which have some more upside. Those can be your shot plays. You can use it in a good way. It's a tool, for sure, but it's not like some get-rich-quick scheme like people always think gambling is going to be. Apparently, gambling on this thing going downside is the way to go. That's been a horrible, horrible, horrible stock. Gambling.com. Just keeping it real. No, but I think you have to keep an eye on the metals here today. And you might hear us say terms like SSR very often. If you are new here and something doesn't make sense, do not hesitate to ask in the chat. If we don't have an answer for you, or maybe we miss it because the chat goes too quickly, we have a fantastic community out there which is always willing to help everybody out, help each other out, because everyone's just trying to do better and make a little bit of money. But I do want to remind people, if you're watching right now and you are not in the chat, you have to hit the subscribe to be in the chat. It's a subs only chat. So subscribers only chat. Just hit that subscribe, hit that like, jump in the chat, ask questions away, and we're all just trying to trade and do a little bit better. And also, okay, here we go. Not to single you out, Oki Cure. Open could be really ugly. So, you mean the open? I thought you meant open door. And I was going to say, make sure you type $ before you put a symbol in. Like Mike DeRider, our names are not symbols. I know you guys want our names to be on the visualizer, but and what I mean about the visualizer, I'm just going to throw it up for everybody here so that you can see. We come to my screen for a second. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. I see we have Mitch getting ready. So right now I think we're trying to get Mitch online because we have Money Mitch coming through from Trade the Pool in just a quick little second. So if you're not familiar with the visualizer, I'll get it up for you when we can actually switch screens, but to stay on me for a second. But what it essentially is just a list of all the symbols that get typed in our chat in ranking order. So if SLV is moving the most and everyone's talking about it by putting $SLV, then it's going to pop to the top of the list. And if I go $, I don't know, I'm just going to put open door because someone just said open, that was the first thing in my mind, then you'll see open door pops in there, and Tesla's in here. Silver leading, EKSL, I don't even know that one. Xena in here, TMC, Meta, PFSA, NVIDIA. So as the day progresses, we'll usually see what's at the top of the list. And when we do our rundowns, we know what's really moving, and we can sort of come back to that. So it's just an easy way for us to try to be talking about and looking at the things that are interesting in that day and specifically interesting to our viewers. But if you aren't part of that conversation, then it doesn't necessarily give you what you want. So if you're watching, you got to be in the chat and you got to contribute if you want the conversation to gravitate towards things that you're interested in. And we're all interested in our friend coming back. Didn't get a chance, Mitch, to wish you Merry Christmas, but certainly now we have you for potentially a Santa Claus rally. But let's go to Streif and get Money Mitch's thoughts.
There he is, Money Mitch from the mean streets of Orlando. I was just hoping you were going to wear another Miami basketball
honestly, I had the ugly Christmas sweater, but I already tucked it away. It was a good one, nutcracker, but we can do with a little bull action. I don't know about you guys, but
I like that.
We could do with it, right?
That's a great looking bull. All right, Mitch, we're talking some interest rate sensitive names. I see you like the lenders. You like some of the home listers. What I missed in my watch list were any home makers, the KBs, et cetera. You don't have those on there, so give us your look on this.
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to look at the actual builders because they built a lot of the supplies already, right? And I can tell you guys because I bought one of them from Lennar. I just closed yesterday, so shout out to that. And I'm looking around, and I think that we can start to look for the mortgage providers, right? That's why I like Rocket here. UWMC is another one, right, that you can look into, but Rocket's probably the best one. Of course, mortgage organization, refi platforms, those are all the ones you want to be watching here. Rocket, UWMC, and then also interest rate sensitive, like looking at loans for a firm, right? These are going to get a little bit cheaper. So if you're doing the buy now, pay later, as interest rates go down, they'll be actually more attractive, right? And so I think you look at these and you can look at housing marketplace, and I know, Neil, open. We'll see if it gets going there. Zillow, also another one that I'll keep on the radar into the next year, and we'll see how those goes. Another thing to watch is the 10-year yield. This is going to be the big important thing. How do the yields go into the next year? And that's a big sign to look for.
All right, let's talk a little physical AI, Mitch. We've been seeing a lot about this robotics, automation. I was reading a note yesterday about Amazon, and their view about basically having 50% of the operations inside their warehouses to be automated. This is a big sector, and it's just growing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. I mean, when you think about it, we got robots, we got devices, we got glasses, right? And so you have to really kind of break this theme down. And you guys see me going through themes here because I think this is what you need to be thinking about going into 2026 that really did me well in 2025, right? So you look to see here, right? If you're thinking autonomous or you're thinking maybe robotics, you're looking at Tesla, Intuit Surgical. And there's a kind of a smaller name, STAA, that most people don't watch, but keep an eye on these. All these are in play. There's more robotics that will be coming to the table, but the key is make sure that they're getting to a finished product and it's not just hype. There will be some hype names that always go, but you want to see the product actually coming out, and that's why Tesla is definitely top of breed there. And then when you go into different areas like AR, VR, glasses, right? You're talking your Apple, your Meta, and then of course the platforms behind it like a Unity, right? So keep your eyes on it. I know that everybody hates on the metaverse and all that action, but guess what, guys? It's going to come back at some play, and you're going to get more and more actions of AR, VR, and then, of course, all the new glasses that have been coming out. So keep looking at that. You got gaming coming soon, right? That could be playing into this. You have Roblox, you have Sony, and, of course, we'll get Grand Theft Auto, hopefully. I know the prediction markets are still pushing that back, but of course Take-Two can be another one to watch here.
All right.
And then if you think autonomous, you guys already know those names, Mobileye, Tesla, and did you guys see the Baidu with Uber? Names like this are going to continue getting the lift.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that to you. Nice tie up there. You got Uber, Lyft throwing their hat into the ring with Baidu for across the pond. But you see Waymo. I don't know if you saw the videos on X, Mitch. A couple of weeks ago, there was the outage in San Francisco with that big PCE outage. And then there was the torrential rain that came, I think, on Boxing Day or Christmas. They had to pause Waymos there all the while, even though it's on a smaller scale. The Tesla robotaxis were continuing to operate. Does that tell you anything, Mitch, about LiDAR?
It does. You know what that tells me, right? It tells me more and more energy infrastructure needed, right? Because these can't go down, because then you have problems like this, right? And if you're looking at LiDAR plays, there's two plays I'd take a look at that have been doing really well this year. One's an actual trucking name, AUR, Aurora. And then you also got this new one that's been coming out and really kind of pushing AEVA. It's in the auto parts area, but it's really a LiDAR kind of player in there. And so you can continue to watch this. But what does this all lead into? It all leads into what? Well, we're going to need what? Lithium batteries and materials. Rare earth trade continues into the next year. So watch the names that I've been talking about. What's one of them that I gave you guys a little while back and even talked about it with the boys there in October about SQM, ALB, SGML, LAC, of course, the lithium needed for all these plays. Robotics, it's needed for the EVs. It's needed for the energy infrastructure, for battery backup. I mean, lithium is literally going to be top of breed their focus for, of course, basic materials going into next year. Another play, of course, steel. If you're going to have all these robotics, they're going to get built, right? So steel's another way to watch this. Copper, you're already starting to see a lift, and we could start seeing.
What up? All right, we'll give Mitch an opportunity just to fix his mic there. He's talking, of course, about the metals, copper specifically. Let me know if you're good to go, Mitch. No, he can't hear us. Okay, so we'll reconnect with Mitch over here. But he was going to talk about AI agents. We'll send it back to the boys. We'll see what they have to say about what Mitch was commenting about.
Oh man.
Oh, good. I mean, I can talk about open. Neil's eating the banana bread right here. No, thank you very much, Mitch. Some solid call outs there. I pulled up open because I haven't looked at that name in a while. I know Neil's definitely looking at this every now and then. But coming into some interesting areas here. Yeah, I got a couple of lines on here, a couple of anchors, arbitrary chart art, as one of you like to call it in the chat. But this anchored from where this move started off in July of 2025. You can see here, came in, respected that. This is a daily chart right here. Came in, respected that really well, and then now kind of bleeding out into the same level. So the question I'm asking is, there was strong demand last time we kind of opened up in and around this area. Will that come back in? I'm looking at this now, a little bit of a shorter term or a lesser term downtrend that we've been having since about November. That's coming in, and that's been holding pretty well as well. And as we come into this 566 level on open, I really like that. Really like that look. I'm going to definitely keep eyes on this one. What do you have to say about that, Neil?
I'm just saying, before we go back to Mitch, like, I'm just chilling out. I got my coffee. Ramin brought us banana bread. So I'm like, look, Mitch is going to be on. I'm just going to get to listen to Mitch for a minute here. We don't have to talk, and I can enjoy my coffee and banana bread. Next thing I know, it's like the camera always finds itself on me. And I get it. It seems like I'm always eating. Ramin does it on purpose, catch me on camera eating. That's number one. It's fun. I guess some people think it's hilarious. But I explained in the chat, I do time-restricted eating. I don't eat after 8 o'clock p.m., and I don't really eat anything until just before 8 a.m. in the morning. So, yeah, I'm generally pretty hungry during the show. I'm just keeping it real. Let's get back to Mitch. We should have those mic issues fixed.
All right.
There we go. We're back
guys.
with Mitch.
Short course here, right?
So we're talking a little AI agents, which is a perfect day to bring it up because we saw today Meta acquiring Manus AI, which obviously deals with agents, Singapore company with China relations. But what do you have to tell us about this, Mitch?
Yeah, you have to watch this area because this is going to be the big talk of next year too. It's going to be moving and talking all about agents. So we'll start moving slowly out of just focusing on large language models and moving into what it can actually do for me. I actually been using this feature on ChatGPT, just trying to play with it more. These AI agents, what can they really do? The workflow, the autonomous, right? So you have names, right? I'm going to run through some of these. You guys do the research and which one's the best. I think I'll start with number one, Unipath. You guys are seeing it. A lot of traders are watching that one. Then the second one, you got Pegasystems, which is PEGA. So that's another one that you guys can look at. That's the self-service agent. You're talking concierge and AWS collaborations with Bedrock. So look at that. Then you have another one, Appian, which is APPN. And why this one matters is that you can start taking a look at this one. This one has embedded process and it has an agent studio. You can take a look to see if this is the one for you. There's SSNC, and this is why I'm running through these names, because I think you need to be having the watch list ready, right? What are these agent plays? How can I be watching these? And then, of course, you got your big platforms. You just talked about it with Meta there. Of course, you have also ServiceNow that has been doing really well and could continue. And another name that is, I think, underplayed here is Salesforce, CRM. And I think CRM could definitely make a big leap into the next move. I know Benioff's been all against AI, but watch how quickly this can change, and they are building the projects rather than underneath them. Microsoft and Amazon, two not to forget, right? Those two will keep being players in the right areas, right? We know they do a whole bunch of other things, but as long as they can be in this space and create some features, they're going to continue to see that uplift. So those are some of the bigger plays that you can just continue to ride.
No tax on car loan interest. You got to love that. Where is that policy here? You see that it's going to be a bit of a tailwind for the used car business.
Yeah, this is all about trying to continue the car sales, right? Because the car prices have just gone way too high and it's starting to outprice even the middle class. So this is a way to kind of combat that, right? No tax on car loan interest. Names that are going to benefit. Well, you got, of course, your auto legacy makers, your GM, your Ford, your Teslas. It might be the reason why you're seeing GM get the lift already. Right? You're seeing that continued push there. And then I want to take a look at, of course, names that can continue going. I know everybody hates it, but Carvana, with moves like this, can just continue going higher. And not to mention the asset appreciation. Cars are still being the prices are still going higher. So all these used vehicles that Carvana has been sitting on, the prices have just continued to gone higher, which has pushed their margins, which allows them to have some gas pedal to push on for next year.
It's crazy. It's like the new cars are prohibitively expensive. I think on this side of the border, the median car price is like low 60s, and that's having this crazy effect of pushing the price of used cars up as well, because people don't want to pay that top line number. So you'd feel that it would give one way, but it's really not. It's quite cyclical. Let's talk about some renewables though. Some wind and solar pull forward, even though Donald Trump canceling that offshore wind production contract in the States.
Yeah, there is. It's all about also taking a look into, right, the big beautiful bill, right? The big beautiful bill also included a deadline trade for wind and solar. So this is another reason why you've seen wind and solar trades try to trade up early, because they need to get these constructions done by July 4th of 2026 so that they can be applicable and avoid the termination rules. So there's two things that can happen here. There can be a lot of front running until that July 4th date. So these trades could go and make a big move early part of the year and then fade off in the end part of the year, as after that you'll start to see these projects kind of go away. Right? And so look for some front loading in some solar names. Those could be good watches at the beginning part of the year.
Good take there, Mitch. We're going to talk some defense spending, some procurement spillover today. We saw Boeing getting another $8.5 billion contract for their F-15 Israeli fighter program for maintenance, et cetera, and another possible 25 planes. What's your look here?
Yeah, guys, I mean, have you guys seen the chart of RTX? It looks parabolic, and for a defense name to look parabolic, that is wild, right? I mean, this name had an insane 2025, and it could just keep going in 2026. What are you hearing around the world and geopolitical is more and more war talk, but really it's all about spending, 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 right? That's what it comes to. That's why I have a friend, you guys might know him, Michael Nass. He always says, buy World War III. Well, the truth is, it's real, right? You spend money, right, with war talk. And I think that you might actually get an opportunity here. If for any reason the Russian-Ukraine war would actually stop, I think it actually makes a down gap that could be a nice value area to play as you get that a hit back down. And of course, some other geopolitical event may come in the later part of the year to really drive that defense trade higher. But in the big, beautiful bill, it has what? A bunch of defense spending.
Yeah, no, I got to agree with you 100% on this. Even though I hope the Ukraine-Russia war ends. I don't think military spending stops, Mitch. I think that the world is going to rearm. They've already seen what could happen, and everybody wants to be ready. So I don't really see a drop in that. Maybe you get a short-term pullback, but in my opinion, that's just probably a buying opportunity.
And extra details, I catch them, right, all the time for you guys. What was talked about with all that China invasion talk or practice or whatever? It was, the drones, the robotic dogs that could be coming after us. I don't know about you. I don't need no robotic dogs coming after me. But the truth is, what is that? Spending. So the spending, the research into military AI weapons. And so AI weaponized countries are going to be the next move, right? It's no longer the battle of soldiers. It's a battle of drones. It's a battle of robotics. And good Lord, robotics dogs?
I saw those. They look absolutely terrifying. They don't look good. With a machine gun strapped to its back. No, thank you. Mitch Hoke, analyst at Trade the Pool. Always appreciate your insights, and good seeing you, Mitch.
Hey guys, we have a very special small deal. If you're looking for testing and testing strategies especially, I think this is really great. It's our smallest deal ever, guys. It's $29 right now, only for the 31st. So go over to Trade the Pool, get those. You can get as many as 10 accounts. These are 5K eValves. They're small, but I think they're really good for testing of strategy, right? There's too many traders out there testing on kind of just paper. Why not test in an eValve environment where you're getting more of your fills, your actual look into the market? I think that's one of the best ways to go test your strategy. So get over to Trade the Pool, and I'll see you guys in 2026.
Get over to Trade the Pool. Have a great New Year's, Mitch.
Did you get the SQM? Did you get it?
Yes.
SQM? You got that lithium play? I hope you guys have that. That's for your kids. That's not for you. Take it easy, guys.
All right, brother. Have a great New Year's if we don't speak. Take care.
Take care.
A lot. Thanks, Mitch. A lot covered by Mitch, obviously. But if we can try to narrow in on like one or two. On the defense play, don't forget like drone names. Like I want to talk Raytheon for a second because it's just been the best of breed. It's weird because months ago when we were getting a bunch of questions about everyone was so interested in like, where's the bottom going to be on Lockheed? And my answer to that question was Raytheon. It's like, well, wouldn't you to get into Lockheed to LMT? Raytheon's better. I think even Sean was saying the same thing. It's just they've been the winner for sure. But there have been some dips that you can grab. I'm a believer as well that if we really think about it, military spending, defense spending does not it just doesn't go away, and meaningful declines in it does seem to not exist. They just might go from one place to another. One of those places I believe is drones, and so that makes AVAV. It's an appealing stock to me. And certainly it's been, like you've already had the pretty hefty drawback into the 200-period moving average, which, when a stock that I want to build a position on gets into that I'm looking for a buy. But this has really pulled back. I think this is a good drone play if you're looking for something in the next couple of years, for sure. But it was on an absolute tear. Right back at that 200-period. Love the fact that it's holding above, but there hasn't really been a breakout just yet. So I do like Raytheon, but this is another name that's on my list in a similar theme. Of course, there's more applications other than military to drones, but let's be real, that is the most important one, money-wise, if we're just being honest with ourselves. Lots of cool things you can do with drones, but the real money comes from military spending.
Yeah, for sure, man. I honestly thank you, Mitch, for pointing out the RTX and the LMT. I haven't looked at some of these stocks in a while, and yeah, this straight line up pretty much for the past couple of years. Sure, we had this bit of a double bottom. Maybe that was an interesting place to get in here because this consolidation failure to follow through and then re-break of this 130 right here on RTX. This is a daily chart. We've only been making higher highs and higher lows since then. And then LMT, let's take a look at LMT. I didn't pull it up earlier, but we can take a look at it together. I like this here as well. Look at that, pulling back up into 500. Maybe we come in for this daily breakout of 512, not that far away from here as of right now on LMT. But yeah, I like some of those names. And funny enough, his mic stopped working and he was like, short Corsair. I was actually looking at CRSR this morning because they don't necessarily make DDR5 RAM, but they do ship it. That's one of their things. But I'm like, has this been moving around? That's the question right there that I was asking. So yeah, and also the position board just updated because I just got some out. But while you guys were talking, silver, that chaser on silver. Okay, I got to restart this chart because that's too many wicks for me. Let me just do that real quick. But yeah, man, no, it's that flush down was absolutely crazy. I tried to hit the bid. I tried to hit the bid multiple times, and I even crossed into the bid. Did not work. Did not work. And I was just like, okay, well, that's distinctly different. There we go, getting some more out back through the 69s. Nice. Back right here, so I gotta get rid of this wick now as well. But look, there was some size chasing it down, and shout out to the chat. They pointed out earlier that yeah, there may be some size on the book, and I watched it chase down hundreds of thousands of shares, kind of like pushing into the bid, or sitting on the ask, and then not getting filled, and then maybe slapping that bid as well. And when they were done, I was like, okay, finally size is getting taken out on the ask. That was a little too far, too fast. Trust me, I love reversions, but yeah, I kind of. VWAP was a nice area, got all the way down to 30s right here, and now pulling back up into 69s. The day high, or the pre-market high, currently is sitting at 69.38. I don't know if we're going to get all the way there, but yeah, that was a quick little pre-market scalp coming in quite nicely here on SLV. Like I said this morning, or it is still morning, but earlier this morning, yeah, SLV, Micron, gold. That's what I'm looking at here. And funny enough, I did mention earlier where I was telling Neil, I was like, I can't hit the bid on silver. I was getting frustrated, but if I just kept the calm, poised, mindset, gold is not SSR. I could go and slap some gold. Right, and gold actually broke down.
Always something else that you can go to when
gold broke down $1.
Express that kind of a trade. But speaking of silver, we got to get to the super chat, and we got another one from SP Williams as well. But first, Danny's boy, our good friend of the show. Thank you for another super chat. Been a lot the last few weeks, especially since silver's been running. On the subject of silver and the rumor of a bank getting margin called, there's a viral personality named, I'm just reading what you said, Asian guy. Some of the info is sketchy, and you could end up living with me in Obi's Tesla if you're not careful. So there's some context to that. Yesterday, there was like not a running joke. We had a conversation about your fleet of cars that you want to own.
Yes.
And one of them was going to be the Cybertruck, because we were talking about the Cybertruck. And then Danny's boy joking that he said if silver tanked too much further or something along these lines, and could he live in your Cybertruck? To which you said yes, or maybe.
Of course, you got to do some renos first.
I think I said yes for you. But then we got a super chat
right there.
SP Williams as well. Will SOPA have a run? Okay, so anytime we get one of these like small cappers that's gapping up, I know what Sharif thinks about them. He trades them a lot. It's under VWAP. It's already made its high in the pre-market. The good news is you are still kind of holding afternoon highs from yesterday at about 315. The bad news is it's all downtrend. So you got to wait for the open here. I'd never want to be involved in one of these after it's already showing you stair step to the downside without it regaining the volume weighted average price. So 340 is going to be a very, very large test for SOPA.
Come on, man.
Already 9 o'clock.
Oh, you know what that means?
Flies when you have Mitch. We're going to get into our free rundown, everybody. Right about now, maybe you look at the futures first. Running? You just do like the rundown.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. You just got to get into the rundown. We need a little. Here we go. Pre-market highs on silver. Let's go.
Silver's going to be on the list.
Remember, I was like, I want to take some inventory back into that 69. Now we're back into a squeeze. That was unusual. Like we talk about trying to locate non-random, but he's just sitting on the ask, just chasing it down with hundreds of thousands of shares. I'm like, all right, if I can't get involved there, I'm gonna wait for him to finish selling. Just keeping it simple. I'm like, okay, unusual seller. Let me just wait for him to finish. Didn't catch this short, unfortunately. That was nice and fast. And sure, it was a little scary buying down at 68.30, 68.20, 68.50s as well, but it was distinctly different. The tape here was distinctly different. Let me edit out this candle so we can see a better look. But it seems like pre-market highs are pretty much right on their way here. So let me just 68. What is that? 40s is the low. right here. So take a look at this right here. This action that happened, sure, it's a little scary. See, I even got a bit of a bad fill on my initial entry because I'm like, all right, looks like we're going to start to turn. Probabilities start to stack. I need to be taking a lot more size here through the 64. This consolidation breakout, because take a look at this. This consolidation breakout does not look back. We have a bit of a chop underneath 69s and then just right through 69s now coming into pre-market highs as well. This was an area of supply from yesterday, and then prior day in the after hours, 72 is the high. I don't know if we're going to get there today, Neil, but it's enough of silver. Let's see what's on the rundown, guys.
Probably more silver.
Right, silver. A little bit of silver. Do the rundown.
All right, guys, let's have a look at the future, 69.55. That is where we closed out yesterday on the ES March contract. We've been consolidating at this level for a while now, I want to say about a day and a half. With the overnight high 57, we're showing 51. So here's a deal. We're going to say 75. That's going to be our first area of resistance. If we catch a bid for whatever reason, we're looking at that 7,000 point area as resistance level 2. If we continue sell off like we did yesterday, we're looking at 69.25, guys, as our first area of support. All right, make sure to get the watch list every day. Adara prepares it and we all use it. And no good morning routine, of course, is complete without a good watch list that helps you organize your day, lets you know what's running and what to prioritize. All right, let's start with the first name here. Silver, as the boys were just talking. Future surge as much as 5% this morning. March silver futures last traded around 74.17 an ounce, taking the year-to-date gains roughly to about 153%. That follows a record intraday high of about $80 an ounce a few days ago. Despite the breakout, though, silver suffered its largest single-day drop since February 2021, closing Monday down 8.7%. The precious metals are a strong beneficiary, obviously, of geopolitical risk. There's also inflation hedging demand and a weaker U.S. dollar, Adara.
I think one thing to talk about is a lot of, as mentioned, I think quite rightly so, buying Milanobi this morning. There's a speculation happening. The major bank sell their silver, there's also the CME margin situation, there with regards to CME raising the margin. Now we know when that's happened in 1980 and 2011, we had massive drops in silver. So I think right now, understandably, quite a lot of fear. There's also, as Sharif mentioned yesterday, these upcoming export restrictions on silver coming out of China. There's going to take place in about 2 days now, January 1st.
All right, guys, silver dilly-dallying around 5%. What is your look?
Somebody's caught off hand. Somebody's caught off hand.
Yes, for sure they are.
And that's been the case for quite some time now. There was a lot of net short that has been getting blown up in all of this. So, you can read into that margin requirements going up any which way you want. The idea maybe controlling some of the price. There's a legitimate aspect to, hey, spot goes up too far, there's some inflationary effects and all that mumbo jumbo. And that's entirely true. But right now, you're in the midst of hey, let's be real. This is going to be one of the most volatile names and most tradable names or commodities for a while here. I don't think this is really going anywhere. So what I'm looking for today, and I want to see it at the open. It's a little thinner than it was yesterday when we were trading it, but I tend to, after a wipeout day like this, when it's SSR, meaning the uptick rules in effect, which we discussed before. So it's like short sell restriction. It was down over 10% yesterday. So yesterday at that point, which it made that low, and then today for the entirety of the day, the uptick rule will be in effect. It makes it more difficult to short aggressively. Sometimes that can mean a nice little relief rally. I'm simply looking at the prior highs. That's the structure I want today. You had 69, which really, that's where we were at the absolute tops in the morning yesterday. And then it's about 68 and a half in here. Like, this is kind of that target zone. If you lose 68.5 for good, to me, gap fills all the way down to 66.5, 67. Otherwise, if I see buyers on that 15-minute above 69, then I want to be involved in the long, and you've got room to 72. If you're having trouble, say, trading this, or you don't like it, do not forget, as Obi also mentioned, there's also GLD. You can look at gold. You can look at some of the miners as well. Gold is not nearly as strong as silver. It is gapped up as well. Percentage-wise, it's not going to move as much. That's why day traders are going to be looking at SLV probably a little bit more, for myself at least. And there's some miners out there, but I think sort of looking at the leader of the group is going to make the most sense. So at the open, the first thing I want to see is can you sustain above VWAP in this target range? If you can't, there's only really two places I like to dip. One of them's tight, and the other one is a big time weight on SLV. As 69 holding for now. And again, whether you trade metals or look at metals, usually this market you have to right now. It's the hottest thing out there in terms of movement for sure.
Yeah, I already talked about silver, did I?
Well, it's fair.
Okay, I mean, no, sorry. I'm kind of honed in on this book here. I know I can talk about it. Yeah, there was some aggressive push down, and then the tape turn was pretty interesting as well. Once that party finished their business, again, if you have a recorded tape of this, it was very interesting. I would definitely go back and watch some of the action that happened all the way from 69.30s all the way down to 68.30s here. Just size, just stacking, not really getting filled, and then maybe moving into the bid when they're not getting filled on the ask. No idea. But when that behavior changes, when that behavior is distinctly different on the book, we start to slow down. We start to kind of consolidate in and around VWAP. I like that. Again, little scary buying this up after you saw that, because you don't know if they're going to step right back in at the same time, right? So it's just like, okay, cool. But the thing is, sometimes you got to put on that kind of risk. You got to be the guy who provides the liquidity. Be like, all right, cool. Well, I don't know if they're done selling, but I'm willing to buy some up right here. VWAP was nice. Comes right back into 69. So yeah, definitely one of the better movers on the day. Very strong moves both ways, and lots of opportunity in the metals space. So silver, we'll definitely be watching this. Let's see if we can break through 69.38 is the pre-market high here. 70s, I'm looking to potentially take inventory into 70s, but if that's not going to come in, I'm more than willing to go the other way as well. You guys know I was trying to short silver yesterday on the gap down, but now the fact that we're kind of gapping up above prior day's levels here maybe has some people offside, even if it's on a shorter term, right? So that's what I'm looking for here. And I mentioned this yesterday as well. It seems like this trade's starting to get a little bit crowded as well, so keeping that in mind. But gold is a good one as well if you are worried about the SSR mechanic here on silver today. So that's what I have to say about that.
Manus AI, a Singapore-based developer for a general purpose AI agents. They build autonomous AI agents like the likes of, ones that do market research, coding, advanced data analysis, that kind of thing. We've seen this coming from many different AI companies. They claim to have an annualized average revenue of about $100 million with just 8 months after they launched, in fact, with a run rate exceeding about $125 million. According to the journal, their deal is expected to close at around $2 billion, which is roughly in line with what the company valued itself at in its latest funding round, ADRs. But they are originally founded in China despite operating out of Singapore.
Yes, they were founded in China. They actually have since laid off most of their Beijing staff, but, and I think this is pretty key, they do maintain partnerships with Alibaba's Qwen AI team. We know Qwen's done pretty well. That's been on watch. So worth noting, Manus does have some partnerships with them, and they do have ties in both the U.S. and Chinese ecosystems. Now, it's also worth noting Manus earlier this year claimed that their performance here is superior to that of the OpenAI deep research agent. We know Meta and OpenAI have been in a bit of a turf war, as it were. So nice look here maybe for META to get one of their top competitors.
All right. I certainly agree with you there, Dara. I think it can be a nice look for Meta. I just don't know if it's going to be a nice look today. You have the market essentially flat to slightly down. So Meta's somewhat stronger, but I preface that by saying the Nasdaq's down 0.1%, we're up 0.1%, 0.15%, whatever. It's moving a little bit here on Meta. I just don't necessarily see this doing anything crazy unless, again, for anyone just tuning in, you haven't heard me say this, but if you've been watching the last couple of days, until we break out of this really tight consolidation between the 50 and the 200 period, Meta's like a hands-off stock for me, not doing anything with it. I think if you break down, fine, fair enough. Hopefully you hold 640. If not, I think you're headed lower. If you break up above 675, I think that's sort of like a classic next step breakout trade for Meta. Until either one of those things happen, I think this is a stock that to put on the back burner, which is probably going to mean the next trade I make in Meta is going to be in 2026. Which, I mean, it doesn't, whatever. It's literally, it could happen in 2 days. But no, that's not today. It's not really moving enough.
Yeah, no, I talked about Meta earlier this morning here. Kind of in a bigger picture trend, which I really like when I'm looking at a higher time frame, like a 1 month. If you pull up the 1 month, you can get a better picture. Sure, intraday and multi-week is a little bit choppy here, bit of sideways action since the beginning of the year, to be honest. We did break through all-time highs there. 750 was nice, couldn't really get to 800. Now pulling back, I got a few anchors from that are pinned to this breakout right here. This was a beautiful textbook V-shaped recovery, and we blasted. We almost squeezed out of these highs right there, all the way from, those are 21 highs. So, people thought, the world was going to end. People thought we were going into, recessionary times here and going into coming off of COVID, right? But whatever it is, we come back, we reclaim that price. Definitely a lot of people offside taking a break through those highs, and we've only been trending up since then. Higher highs and higher lows here, and holding some significant structures from this year as well. So going back down, let's say to an hourly, we can have a better perspective of where we are. Really, kind of no man's land in terms of sideways chop here. Not really at the top of the range, not really at the bottom of the range, but the last thing we did do was kind of bounce off of these 580s, 579.82 I have as the ultimate low there since November, December. So that was this strong flush on prior earnings. We pretty much I guess found maybe a little bit of balance here in and around 600 and then bid all the way back up to 650. So the question becomes, can we get past this little wiki action? I don't know what this was. Definitely some sort of a catalyst day here where we went up to, this was December 4th, went up to 686s and then wick down. So some selling pressure shown on the hourly there, and then once again here coming back into these areas, slow bleed back down. But we are holding the anchored VWAP from earnings as of right now, so maybe we find some support in the 640. So that's what I have on watch for Meta, but bigger picture, it is very much in a very strong uptrend, even though it's a little choppy along the way.
Tesla riding a 4-day losing streak, up a little bit today to the tune of about 0.2% today. Their deliveries are expected to decline in Q4, driven by the expiration, of course, of the U.S. tax credits, as well as intensifying global competition, even though the company has been trying to move the needle with cheaper models, or cheaper versions, I should say, of its current models. More on that in a second. Visible Alpha, their data points about a 13, give or take, 13% year-over-year drop in their Q4 deliveries, with estimates coming in around 423 to 433,000. I should mention that the variances here are stark. There's different ranges depending on which rating agency or analyst you are looking at. Tesla's second consecutive annual decline this would mark, I should say, Tesla's second consecutive annual decline, with deliveries expected for the year to be about 1.65 million units. That would amount to about a 7.8% drop year over year. Delivery slowdowns being led mostly by North America and Europe, where EV demand has softened. Europe remains the key pressure point, though, because Chinese electric vehicles are really going in there quite aggressively. We've seen the likes of BYD increase its registrations in England over 300% year over year. But analysts note Asia is a relative bright spot, Adara, but not enough to offset the weakness.
Yeah, what I think is worth noting is Tesla actually released, as of yesterday, their own Q4 2025 delivery consensus. So they compiled what they are calling the delivery consensus of sell-side analysts. Now, it's worth noting some of these analysts, including Wedbush, are notably actually pretty bullish on TSLA. But either way, this compilation that Tesla posted on their website says that total deliveries for Q4 are going to come in around 422,850. As Sharif mentioned, these consensus and these estimates are all over the place, though.
All right, guys, with respect to the cheaper models that we spoke about not long ago, these stripped down versions of the standard Model 3 as well as the standard Model Y, they're roughly about $5,000 lower. They're aimed at defending unit volumes, but analysts are quick to point out here, even if the unit volumes come in a little bit higher because of these standard models, the margin pressure, the amount of money that they make on these standard models is markedly less than what they make on the higher end models. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that, boys.
Yeah, we can get with this, we can get with that, but hopefully you get with this show because the show is kind of fat. But I think we're headed lower on Tesla. Specifically, the 50 period on the daily is showing me 444. There's always some. That's hilarious because I bought this thing at $222 because I like the number 22, and right now 50 periods at 444. So until proven otherwise, I just feel like this trend is sort of headed down there. We know deliveries have been weak. We understand that. But at the end of the day, unless you're GM, who's been performing better stock-wise? GM's actually been better this year, which is crazy. But who's been performing better stock-wise? I think it was focused on robotics now, and whether you believe in that or not, that was that hype and future outlook is what gave the stock its run. But it hasn't really broken away from this current, hey, we got to 500 effectively, 498 something, or just around 490, just underneath 499, which is close enough to 500. And we rejected it. Then we rejected 490 for 3 days in a row. And then we gapped down. We rejected 470 yesterday. So no higher lows have been made yet. I still think until that gets proven otherwise, you're waiting for 444. I think the level to look at today for me is a simple over-under at 470. It double tapped that yesterday and lost. So if any breakout is going to have to carry through the 470 level. Otherwise, the stock is a fade underneath there. And if you haven't looked at a chart of General Motors, everybody, then do yourself a favor. I don't know if we can come to my chart for a second, but this has been doing very well itself. Now, I don't know what's going to get it to make another leg, but they've been doing very, very well. And we seem to only talk about Tesla, which is fair because it's a trading show, and traders tend to like to look at Tesla a heck of a lot. But if you've been sleeping on GM, right, ever since some of the emissions restrictions have been walked back on, EV credits gone, these guys have been winning big, and winning big even with the new tariff environment. So GM deserves its little bit of a salute. It's not moving today. Of course, Tesla will be in focus, but it's got to get to that 470. And if we're not breaking out over 470, then I'm more like waiting for 444 to get tested.
Yeah, I think what's interesting to me here, Neil, is that, sellers were definitely in charge on the lack of follow through. We could not get through 500. 498.83s is the high right now. And since then, since that strong sell off after that, Tuesday, December 23rd, we got some not strong selling, but some pretty much all day selling, and then some strong selling on the Wednesday, and then coming back from Christmas, some strong selling once again. Yesterday, some strong selling into the close. Today's the first day where we're kind of doing a bit of a gap up and opening up, and with some muted pre-market action, pretty tight range in the pre-market. And yesterday we had some strong selling into the close. I don't think it was off of the imbalances. That's what I want to point out. It just kind of puked into the close and then sold off even further for a low of 457.21s in the after hours. Now today coming right back up, a bit of a gap up here and holding above prior day's closing price. I like that. I'm going to be watching this range high and a low from the pre-market here on Tesla, and the range high is coming in at 464. So basically we can round that up. 465s, can it get above 465s, or do we break back below 61 halves here? 61.65 is the low on Tesla. Decent move here. Maybe this is the break of this downtrend that we've been selling off so aggressively on a multi-day frame here on Tesla. Maybe this is the final bid or this is the bid that finally takes us back up to 500. I have no idea. Today, I'm just looking at that range. Let's see how that range breaks, and there might be some opportunity there if there's follow through. Market's also a little sideways here on the in the pre-market session. You can see here pretty tight sideways action here on the ES, pretty tight sideways action here on the Nasdaq as well. Pretty flat. You can see down 0.03% on the ES and then down 0.08% on the Nasdaq. So we'll see. Market dependent as well. if there's strong tailwind, then a range break might be in order. Who knows?
All right, guys. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella they're set to be aggressively reshaping senior leadership to keep the company competitive. The move comes after Microsoft restructured its partnership with OpenAI earlier this year, kind of removing that exclusivity around models and data center users. We talked about that. Management now is set to be prioritizing in-house AI model development, foregoing the reliance, of course, on OpenAI. Nadella's hired Jay Parika. He's a former Meta engineering chief. His role is to run the newly formed core AI unit. Existing leaders like Judson Althoff, he's the commercial chief, and Ryan Rosalansky, he's a LinkedIn CEO. They were given expanded responsibilities across sales. And the reshuffle is kind of designed to cut the bureaucracy, Adara.
Yeah, it's worth noting too, just a report, as Sharif mentioned, coming from the Financial Times early this morning, but also some people quoted for this saying that Satya Nadella is very much in founder mode right now, though again, there are still some tensions because much like what we saw with Meta and the Scale AI acquisition, the reshuffling of the AI unit, you're gonna have people who are used to being in positions of authority that are kind of being shuffled around. It is worth noting though, Microsoft's early AI lead from that open AI investment is being challenged as we've got Amazon and especially Google as of late accelerating their infrastructure and model development. Copilot has actually surpassed 150 million monthly active users, but it still trails usage reported by Gemini and ChatGPT, of course, the latter of which is run by OpenAI. So interesting look.
Aaron, so head of AI, I think we've spoken about this guy before, Mustafa Suleiman. He's been given more money specifically and more autonomy and flexibility to go out and to improve Copilot. They're mentioning 150 million monthly active users, far below the 600 that we've heard with OpenAI, and some new numbers coming out of Gemini which challenge that.
The winner, I know you love it, Gemini there, Sharif. I love it as well. And a lot of people here, I think on the show, pretty universal. Unfortunately for Microsoft, it's been a bit of a malaise. I think this is good. I think the reshuffle is probably going to try to get it back on track. But some of this has to do with what's been going on with the AI trade in general. You've seen it with Meta and you've seen it with Microsoft. Like, look how boring the stock has gotten into this little cluster. I'm drawing a bit of a trend line so that you can see this wedge. I feel the same way about this as I do about Meta. If and when this can actually break away from this wedge in either direction, then it becomes more interesting as a momentum stock again. Until then, understand that this breadth that we're seeing in the market that got the S&P back to its highs has been doing so without a bunch of big names. And when that's happening, it just means Microsoft's it's not as in play as it was before, and Meta maybe as well. So I think, I'm going to throw that one onto the side burner. I'm going to work this in because there's only 6 minutes to go. On the flip side of the coin, you've got this part of the AI trade which is working, which of course is memory, and that's Micron. One of the strongest names, if not the strongest chip name yesterday. Look at the crazy upward trend that it had. I feel like if we lose the initial bid, because just look at these top wicks from 2 days ago at about 293 and then that support. Like, if you lose that immediate bid, then I feel like you're waiting till 290 as the next level. So I want to be just sort of poised and ready on Micron. It was dipping yesterday before just an insane explosive candle. And then that explosive candle is like, okay, well, buy the first available dip, and the first available dip pulls right back into a support level, and then you're just buying it up at that point. I don't know if it's going to be that obvious today after that kind of a rally. Like, will it just completely break out this top at 297 and head right to 300 clean? My guess is no. I mean, ready for that if it happens, but my guess is no, and it could be a little bit more of the dip and rip type scenario. Like, you could see one of these where dip, and then you're trying to catch a bit of a bid, or dip, and then you're looking for a bit of a trend where, here it held a prior high. This one it held like an afternoon support level. So I'm looking at Micron much more than I'm looking at these Mag 7 today.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely, Microsoft, the bigger picture, looking interesting, especially after this double top. You can see here, could not get past its all-time highs. Another one of the Mag 7, that's kind of showing that, right? But it showed that to us when in October. October of 2025 here, could not get past, comes right back in, breaking trend now, consolidating pretty much on top of 470. So I think this consolidation is going to be interesting if we kind of continue, if we're going to continue some selling, maybe the break of 470 will give us more information. But as of right now, kind of holding its own above 470, which is, you know, another place where resistance here all the way from July of 24 has turned into a bit of support coming into this year. In when was this? This is November of 25. We made that little bit of a wick bottom on the daily here at 464.89s, now trading at 487s. So yeah, that's that consolidation I'm definitely watching a little bit here as it winds up. But on a day like today, some of the better Mag 7s to focus on for sure will be Micron and maybe some of the chip names as well, maybe even Tesla, who knows?
We got a couple of China-specific AI chip, AI equipment stories to cover here, so let's get right down to it. So the U.S. government has granted annual licenses for 2026, allowing Samsung as well as SK Hynix, some of the two biggest memory producers in the world, to import U.S. chip-making equipment into their China-based facilities. So they're going to be entering China. The move offers temporary relief, of course, after Washington earlier revoked those broader licenses. There's a new system in place, and this replaces the long-term exemptions with a year-by-year approval system. So Samsung, SK Hynix, Taiwan Semi, they all previously benefited from validated end user. It was this program called VEU exemptions under U.S. export controls. That ends tomorrow, December 31st, meaning any shipments of any American chip-making tools to China after that date will require U.S. export licenses explicitly on a per-company basis, Adair. But there's also another headline today with respect to China.
Yes, there is. Reuters reporting that China is requiring chip makers to source at least 50% of their new equipment domestically when they're adding or expanding capacity. Now, this rule is actually not publicly documented, but they're going to basically make fabs prove compliance through procurement tenders in order to get approval from the state. Authorities prefer the domestic share to be well above 50%. Their long-term goal is apparently near 100%.
All right, guys, some China-specific AI plays today. You've got the likes of Micron, as Neil was looking at there, as well as some other chip names. What's your look?
Baidu's going to be on watch. I know it's not a chip name, but certainly benefiting by some of that. But quickly, I just want to show the imbalances. There's not much to see, so we can get it over really quickly. NEO was actually the highest at 450,000 to the buy side. ONTF, it's like a buyout today, so that's probably not going to be a big time mover. So nothing crazy on the imbalance locator for sure. But if we're talking about the chips, I already mentioned Micron. I have to, for myself, I got to be looking at AMD today. For the obvious reason that if you've been looking at this chart for the last 4 days, resistance at about 216 has held 4 days in a row. And if it breaks 217, I think it's a breakout long if it can take out this 217 level and fill this gap into 220, but no 217 break at the open. And again, this just sort of becomes a fade off 216. So at the open, it's Micron and AMD that'll have my attention, not necessarily the Chinese names, with the exception of, hey, if Baidu goes for that jaunt to the downside that I was talking about earlier, I like that 130 level, but I think I don't know if we can actually get down there. So the China chip play, I think in terms of Chinese names, I like Baidu the most, but I'll let this one open up and focus on AMD and Micron in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, when I heard the name Samsung, I was like, let's see how our friend in South Korea is doing. And this is the Samsung daily chart, guys. So if you guys have access to the Korean markets, take a look at this. Are these all-time highs? I think so. I think these are all-time highs. Let me go to a monthly chart here. Oh, boy. Yeah, that's definitely all-time highs here on Samsung. So yeah, definitely very much in play here. 3, 2, and 1. Good luck, guys.
The market is open? Distinctly open. That was a bit of a dip already in Tesla. Man, Tesla wastes absolutely no time heading to the downside. Just dropped $1 almost instantly right away at the open. Silver, not so much. Silver not doing a heck of a lot off the open yet. It didn't really get to Bitcoin. We're chilling out at 88,000 forever on BTC with already a fail of that $50 level. That's my over-under. It's been the same level I've looked at on Bitcoin for the last little bit. It's just above 80,000, 88,000. If we're not going to be able to close above that, in these first opening candles, I will look for the fade there. But Micron,
yep, bit of a fade.
Already heading back in. So yeah, maybe we get a chance at that 290. That's definite. Micron's definitely fading. So we could get that 90 support after all. And then the other chip name I mentioned was AMD. That was real fast. AMD with an initial spike up and instantly fades 215. Now, I like 217 as the potential breakout. It didn't quite get close enough to fade in front of that resistance level on AMD. So yeah, we're still looking at most of the same names. It's not necessarily the market that's going to move much today. It's going to be individual names. Like, look at the volatility in AMD and Micron off the open relative to the Nasdaq. That's a telling story.
Yeah, I was talking about Tesla, man. Tesla coming in with that range break. Remember, I was like, okay, well, if Tesla's going to do a bit of a tight consolidation after a gap up day, we've been selling off pretty decently, just trying to keep it neutral, not really have any sort of strong bias. What can we exercise our abilities on is the question that I was asking. When I say our, I'm just talking to myself here. Silver coming right back into VWAP right there, so 69 sellers definitely still on watch. What was that, Ramin?
I said, what is that chart?
What is that chart?
Zoom in.
Oh yeah. I was on the way of zooming in, Ramin. So take a look at this, Neil. 461.60s. That was the low, right? Take a look at this. 457 coming right back into some of these lows. Oh boy, that's a trade right there. A bit of an opening pre-market range, pre-market low breakdown coming in right off of the open. Not even right off of the open. That was a bit of it was almost front ran into the open. Can't really get past 462s, and then boom, slams right in to 460s. Nice. That's an opportunity. I mean, I didn't really take it, but where's the next trade? Silver as well coming in as of right now back into its VWAP and a little bit lower. This is where buyers kind of showed up in the pre-market session, so we'll have to see whether or not we violate some of these lows here. And I think the low was 31s, 32s is coming in here on silver. So I'm going to be patient. Amazon had a crazy breakdown as well, man. And Alphabet's going to its highs here at the same time. So a lot of kind of chip chop happening, quite literally.
Chip chop.
Micron bidding right back up. Wow, look at that.
Micron, what an opening candle that is.
Swipe or no swiping.
That reference, you know?
Of course. What do you mean? I grew up watching Dora.
Actually, that you know what? That actually tracks. My bad. Yeah. Sometimes I forget you're a young man. But Micron, what an opening candle there on Micron. Yeah, Dora the Explorer. In my head, that show is probably more recent than it really is. What an opening candle that is. We're not going to see 290. We can forget about that. Look, it dropped $3 at the open. I'm like, hey, all it has to do is drop another $3 and you get that 290. Now it's attempting to hold the volume weighted average price. I'm just going to pull that over so you can see the actual action a little bit better. I was able to nibble into Bitcoin, IBIT in front of that $50 level. It's breaking 88K. I'm trying to add in the mid-90s in front of the 50 level, but I'm not getting filled. And this is looking very strong here on Micron. Let's see if it pulls back into VWAP and can hold that, then I'll be interested in joining the long. I didn't want to compromise on this dip, but if we're going to be breaking out, we'll try to get it before the break. Nothing crazy happening on AMD, unfortunately, for myself. I look up and I see NVIDIA going downside. Another day with the market inside range to open, and it seems like Micron wants to be a bit of a leader. Silver is still falling, by the way, Obi. I don't know if you've been watching.
Look at Google. So yeah, in terms of crazy extensions, yeah. Google is ripping to the upside right here. So talk about a pre-market breakout on this one. How much relative volume is this doing? Absolutely nothing in the pre-market, but then all of a sudden off of the open, we're doing over 1.3, 1.4 times relative volume coming in on the day here on Google. So pre-market highs, even though it was a bit of a crumble, was 313.86s. So even if you're taking the whole dollar push there through 314s, 317s, boom. Still going there, holding that bid, very, very strong. Maybe some sustained volume as well. Definitely doing a relative volume. There goes silver with a bit of a bounce here on off of VWAP right here. So we'll see what it does in and around this area. This was a bit of a chop. Remember, in the pre-market, what happened? Strong sized ask right here. We're getting some more of that right now. Kind of chasing it down, and price action following that chase as well, and then getting a little bit of a consolidation here in and around VWAP. 68.30s to 68.60s breakout here. So maybe a bit of a range here, but this was where buyers kind of showed up in the pre-market in and around VWAP. So maybe I'm looking for more of the same. And then sellers here in the high of the range of the day, 69.30s. So that's what I have on watch. That is a pretty large stack on the ask there. I have about 50,000, 60, 70,000 shares on the ask, multiple gates, mainly ARCA. On silver. So yeah, that's coming in pretty nicely here. What else is going on? Amazon was the other one. Talk about a pre-market range break on some of these Mag 7 names, going both ways. So here, this is, you know, not really doing too much volume, but if you are watching it, I guess it's something that's interesting. Here, even prior day low, it cracks into, which is even more powerful. But take a look at this, going down to the 1 minute, just straight quadunk into 230, holds 230 like a champ. Rips right back up into VWAP 231s. So yeah, I don't know if that's part of anyone's playbook, but doing some decent moves here on some of the Mag 7. Tesla is the one, man. Tesla is the one. Definitely that range break. The sellers are very much in charge.
NVIDIA as well. NVIDIA just went red, and it's threatening, the Nasdaq's threatening here, because if Micron loses this bid, Micron made the break at 97. Okay, admittedly, you could have scalped it out in front of 298. That was not really my plan of action. I wanted it to do a deeper move. Ooh, I might have got wicked out at VWAP, but the reason I want to make sure I'm going to jump out here and possibly re-engage, I want to make sure we don't fall apart here on the Nasdaq. If the Nasdaq loses this bid, and we get down another 30 or 40 points, and to me, Micron could easily still take down that 93. So I don't want to hold this all the way, but I can jump back in if I like it. I'm still in IBIT, but I wanted to make sure I showed you guys what's going on in NVIDIA here. NVIDIA looking, well, let's just say NVIDIA's looking weak. I actually liked AMD in theory, and I'm still, yeah, that's me trying to get short at a price that we're not very likely to get on advanced micro devices or advanced money destroyer, whatever the heck we're calling it these days. It's still looking weak, despite the fact that it was relatively strong in the pre-market. So, you know, not going to get that 216.5. We'll have to look maybe a little bit closer to the 216 level on this bad boy. But I don't want to give up on Micron. You know, the market is trying to bounce off that level that I was just showing you, and I think I can try to get back into this one. Get in half before and give it a wider stop is going to be the plan of action. Sort of get in before, allow this to close above, and if we can close above and form like another green candle, then try to get in on that one, as Micron's still one of the strongest things out there. I'm in IBIT, so I finally got this position. I was sitting there waiting in front of 50s, and then kind of chased it down there like 88, but I got my price at 90, so we're good to go. If this takes out the high, I'm out. Otherwise, I'm just simply trying to hold this for the low, and then a potential move all the way into yesterday's range. So I'm looking for, like, if it's a range-bound day in IBIT, then I just want the range today, and I'm willing to give it to the high of the day to be able to play it. Silver is still falling, so I'm not really seeing any long trades yet there.
Yeah, no, I got close eyes on Tesla there. Definitely missed out on the short. That came in real fast. That came in real hot. You almost had to be sitting there. And like I said, front run into the open. So I'm observing that action. We see that I see that happen often, where it's just like, if I'm looking at a level, I know that other people are probably looking at that same level as well. I got to keep eyes on Tesla on the book here. Maybe potential for a turn. Yeah, so the thing is, when I see it getting front run, maybe that adds confluence, Neil. Maybe that adds confluence, being like, all right, cool, people are literally front running the breakdown going into the open, and then maybe that gives us a bit of an opportunity, because if it just swipes right back up, you get out. But if it continues, then you can really size in, getting a little aggressive through some of those pre-market low breaks, and even into prior day. Was it prior day low that we broke down? Yeah, prior day low for 64.59.20s. What was the closing price yesterday? Let's get specific. Let's get really specific here. Closing price here of the last candle on the day, intraday, was 459.41. And take a look at what we did with 459.41 on the 1 minute chart. Oh, sure, you can go a little bit lower, 459.41. That's all the way up here, guys. So right here, boom, right through 460. So we did take a little bit of a bounce. We opened up 460s on the next minute right here, and then boom, slam right through through back here. So maybe if you automatically, you see that really fast, you gotta be fast. You see that opening range on the 1 minute, boom, let's play the opening range on the 1 minute because that confluences with prior day close. And then right away, 459.40s gets slapped straight down to 455s as of right now.
I don't know if you've seen this chart, but I just saw in the chat, and thank you to Limo1631 for using the $ when typing in Rivian. But that is a pretty hefty drop in Rivian right off of the open. This is why you throw up the symbols that are moving, at least the ones that you're interested in, because out of nowhere, on no particular catalyst, you've got Rivian heading to the downside. Micron's still finding, all right, I'm just gonna go back over to Micron for a second. It's still finding the same resistance. I haven't added, I should have already added at VWAP, and I didn't do so. I'm going to get an order in there. I'm still looking for 300 as the play. I think, to me, that shot at 97 should be going to the 300 level. It's just, we're running into resistance constantly at that 98. But the other thing that's happening is I was able to get a couple of legs out at the low on IBIT. So if we bounce off of 49.8, which it looks like we're attempting to do, then I want to try to get better prices. Right now I'm short at 91s. Ideally a little bit closer to 50 like yesterday would be the plan of action. So I'm going to eyeball this Micron. I'm still sitting on the bid to get VWAP again. But if we keep losing this same price area before we get to 300, I don't mind getting out and trying to jump back into this. Micron, when it trends up like yesterday, I feel like if there aren't multiple trades in the stock, then whatever. There's going to be multiple trades in this stock. Look at the way that it traded yesterday. I think just trying to stick with this one to the long side is going to be the plan. And it's doing so without the chips. It's doing so without the market, which is about to break the lows again. Right? I told myself if we lose the low on the Nasdaq, I'm going to jump out and look for this dip buy. Market's still weak. Really, really. It's very range. It's 40 points on the Nasdaq is how much we moved this open. When you look at individual names, it seems like we're flying all over the place, but we're not really. You just have a very indecisive first 10 minutes. Apologies about the position board. I know it just keeps going in and out. That's been an ongoing thing. I'm still short IBIT and long Micron. That hasn't changed.
Yeah, and I am not in any sort of position here. I got eyes on Tesla. I got eyes on silver. Just waiting and watching. And I think my down in the DMs, man, TradingView alerts are going off right now, so I do have to check what is going on here. What? Okay, so Meta hitting some sort of anchored VWAP apparently. So let me pull that up and check it out. Right here, it's probably going to be on this window, but I got to keep a close eye on Tesla at the same time because Tesla is looking a little interesting to me. Okay, there we go. Meta as well. Meta extending to the upside. So this is a strong bid on Meta. Here's the thing. The stuff we were talking about earlier that was buying up and selling off aggressively. Google, what a beautiful reversion. All the way back down, Neil. I was looking at it at 317s. Boom. Yeah, silver's all the way down to 68, back down to 68s. So still falling. So that selling is coming in pretty aggressively. So I'm just being a little patient because we're still in that pre-market range area. But this was a beautiful reversion because I was just like, why is this running so crazy? You can see the market slaps right back in as well. That first 15-minute candle, we only have we're 1 minute left until this 15-minute candle closes, and we went straight red to green. And look at this top wick on the Nasdaq. I don't know if it means anything, but maybe some strong selling in the first 15 minutes is what it's showing us here. Meta is what I want to point out as well. Strong bid all the way up to 668.44s, day high, and now taking a bit of a consolidation on 666s. Ooh, is that an omen? I don't know. But that's coming in right there to that range low. So with the market coming in as aggressively as it is, the question becomes, will it come back into VWAP? Will it give us a 50% retracement? Will it come back towards open? Those are all the questions that I'm asking. We'll wait and see. Under Armour was on the watch list as well this morning. And take a look at this, Neil. We were talking about that $5 level being interesting. That's another alert that I got, the $5 push on UAA. And I think we have numbers in a minute. What's up, Adara?
Asterisks here. I'm seeing some outlets say we're having this today, others saying we're having it tomorrow. Either way, Chicago PMI might be happening right now. So previous print here, 36.3, consensus 39.5, forecast 39. So actually coming out higher than expected, 43.5. We did, in fact, get Chicago PMI today, 43.5 versus the previous year of 36.3. So well above the previous print. Here's the Nasdaq, not reacting too much to this number. Again, guys, FOMC meeting at 2 p.m. We'll cover more of that, though, happening now in 15 minutes. No more economic data at 10. Back to you.
Yeah, that's all we got for. And again, that's all we got for economic data. Remember, we do have that. Those Fed minutes are going to be important. I am into silver on the first available green candle. So silver, SLV, I should say. I'm not trading spot silver. SLV dipped, went to 68, clean bounce off the even dollar. Doesn't necessarily matter the even dollar, but psychologically great. I'm looking for the VWAP push here. If it goes past VWAP, that's great. Oh, Micron. But I want to make sure I get most of it out in front. I have also, and again, I'm just going with the names on the list here today. I've reloaded into IBIT, more or less exactly at the top of the prior move, which is about 49.92. You're at 88,000. I know we keep breaking 88,000 overall in Bitcoin, but that's been a pretty good resistance spot throughout the last couple of days. So there's a couple of wicks above it, but we've been holding that level. Going to try and reload it like we already did and then play back into the low of the day on IBIT. The Nasdaq is breaking down, however. So this is the end. I'm just going to show you here so I can keep on the stocks that I'm watching. But we are losing the bid a bit here. And that's obviously going to be a concern for anything to said long side. Silver, again, I'm only taking mean reversions on this thing. Ooh. So when I see it make a bottoming tail candle, I'm going to look to try to get in. This is what we played yesterday. But I feel like there was more or less the same thing in yesterday's trade, where the early bounce was like very muted, and then the later trend breaks were much better on SLV. So understand that I'm usually going to trade this more than once, no questions asked. Micron, super strong yesterday. It's still holding above yesterday's highs, but only barely so. Like I did get wicked out at VWAP, but VWAP's a line on a chart. If it can't hold these prior highs, then I'm abandoning this trade as well. I'm looking for something else that I like to the short side. And the sad thing about it is, the first thing that came to mind, load, is going to be this double top here on Intel, but it's not at the $37.50 level. I need a 15-minute to show you guys. It's not at the $37.50 level where it failed before. So it's trending up when the market's kind of going down, which to me means I've got to let it get to this price because it's relatively strong. So I'm going to back off that one, just stick with what we already have. And some of the Chinese ADRs are moving around. Neo, I see in the chat people talking about Neo. Neo was gapped up and is moving really, really nicely. Also, XPeng is a bit of a mover. That's also up 5%. So you're getting some of the Chinese ADRs showing some signs of strength, specifically in the EV space. Their deliveries are out in a couple of days. Remember, beginning of the month.
Yeah, no, this Tesla is bidding right back up. So I was just like, okay, I was watching this pullback into 55s, didn't really get in, 56s. So maybe we're making a line towards VWAP here. Yeah, no, 68 20s here on SLV at the same time. Market's catching a little bit of a bid here as of right now. Look at that 15-minute. This is the second 15-minute candle of the day, catching a very strong bid at the same time. But yeah, no, what are you guys trading? I'm watching Sidu as well, and that's kind of holding its own. $3 kind of consolidating here on SIDU. Sidu Space happening here. I think I might need to sneeze soon, but we'll find out. Just hold it, hold it. No, so a bit of a range happening here on SIDU at the same time. So just have eyes on that. Oh boy, there's the trade on Tesla. 55 to 57s, 58s, like that was it right there. That's a scalp I wanted to take right there. A quick little reversiones. Can you say reversiones?
Reversiones?
I don't know, I just made that.
I'm not even sure that's a word, Obi.
I don't think so.
But we'll go with it.
I like making up words.
I'll take it. You're allowed to make up as many words as you want. No, there is. I see people in the chat. Is there news?
On what?
No. Are you talking about the market in general?
Price
the market, there's price action.
Maybe
sure.
the report, the PMI, maybe.
Certainly like, PMI came out, but look what's happening right here, just quickly, because I just jumped out of the only short that I had, which was IBIT, because we're testing that high. So we absolutely held the bottom on the Nasdaq, but we're still inside range. Like inside range simply meaning we haven't broken the overnight highs, We barely scraped the bottom on the overnight lows, but I'm talking like barely so. But that's enough to get out of the reload on IBIT. Like the first initial move, good, but the second one breaks that candle. The second this candle gets violated, then I'm out. Stop order. I don't mind getting back in if we lose the bid again, but look at the strength that's coming into the market for sure. And Alphabet here, I know, Obi, this is one that you were talking about, wasn't necessarily on the watch list. That's starting to creep back above VWAP and starting to look good again. Just realizing, did I even put my news services on? I just realized I didn't hear anything in my ear or haven't heard anything this morning. But no, there is no specific news. The market coming right back into the top. And it doesn't seem like it's Google getting back to the highs. NVIDIA, however, that's back into the volume weighted average price. Silver's trying to go. It's now back at VWAP, but I'm reminded that yesterday, the initial dip at 940 got to VWAP and no further. So I'm sitting right in front of it, trying to get one more fill to take some profit out in front of the volume weighted average price, because this is exactly where it turned last time. Not last time, this is exactly where it turned yesterday. Not the price, but it was at the volume weighted average price. So I'm just gonna sit in front, make sure we grab a bit of a fill, then look for the next possible entry over there. But what a crazy turn that was on IBIT, going absolutely ham to set upside. I haven't looked at any small cappers yet, everybody. And what's AMD doing? AMD right back into 216. Dude, this was the short level. Oh, with the market at the highs, you got to do what you got to do. I said this was the area that I like to short 217 to 216 to 217. The market's at the top, so I will look for this curl. Just want to see a little bit of red before we get in.
Yeah, for sure. Sidhu coming in for that pre-market high right now, 308 coming in. So yeah, multi-day push on this, and guess what? The Tesla reversion kind of came in pretty nicely. Quick scalp gave you a couple of dollars there. But now, some exciting news out of Canada for the sophisticated traders on the stream. Beta Pro by Global X Canada, Canada's largest provider of leveraged, inverse, and inverse leveraged ETFs, has just launched 6 new triple leveraged ETFs offering 3 times bull and 3 times bear exposure to the S&P, TSX 60, semiconductors, and on US Treasuries. So even better, they're offering a special fee rebate, dropping management fees to just 65 basis points until December 31st of 2025. That's just in a couple of days. That's tomorrow, actually. Plus, the US-focused strategies use currency hedging, offering the potential for pure performance and exposure. So if you are a tactical, sophisticated trader looking to amplify your performance, check out betapro.ca/3xdaily to find out some more. All right, so yeah.
One more day. The end of the year is already here. The end of the bull run.
You got to be tactical and you got to be sophisticated.
Yes. Well,
be consistent. And you got to be green.
Tactical,
and then you can leverage that up. Why not? There's a lot of services out there for profitable traders.
One thing to remind everybody: if you are looking at leveraged ETFs, remember they are trading vehicles, not investments. Decay will absolutely kick your butt if you don't treat them the right way. Understand that decay leveraged ETFs is going to be your #1 enemy. But in terms of getting moves, that's where you want to be. So I did get into Micron. AMD, when I jumped out of Micron, Micron lost a bid and it lost that prior high. So what did I say I was going to do the second time through, which is take less and give it a wider stop. Right? But also not looking for a scalp trade. Like if I'm looking to risk $1.50 on a stock, then I want it breaking out $1.50 before I'm taking anything out. That's just my style of trade. Everyone will be a little bit different there, but that's starting to lose the bid. I know I missed AMD the first time up short there, but it is what it is. You got to just move on to the next trade. AMD came back into that 216. I'm into it now, looking for the VWAP retracement for sure. Thank goodness we got out of that second one on IBIT. Like the second short on IBIT, look at it break that candle. This is why you trade with stops in the first place. Look at the run. We're now at 89,000 on Bitcoin as we continue to rally here in BTC. There's a couple levels. 1, 2 days ago at 50.5. Or 2 sessions ago, I should say, not 2 days, 2 sessions ago, on Boxing Day, 50.5 was level on IBIT. The bigger ones at 51.4, 51.5. You get there, and to me, that's almost an auto short. Silver is trying to go. When this has an update, it doesn't tend to have small updays. Right now, I'd call it a small bounce. About 1% off the lows is as far as silver has gone. It moved 10% yesterday, and it's a gap up. It was 5 and now 4%. So I think it's got a lot more room, but I got to respect this 69. We get up there, I'm going to jump out of the trade. I said it should be more scalp trading in a range-bound market, so I'm going to respect that by jumping out of this if it gives me another point to the upside there. I know the position board's an issue.
Yeah, it's
I'm still short.
You can see the charts, right?
Yeah, I'm still long some silver here. Well, I mean, the thing is I have outs in it, so I could have gotten out of all of it. But and I'm on the bid right now of AMD to look for the first out in front of the volume weighted average price. So short AMD, long in SLV, which of course is an ETF. If I say silver, understand that I'm trading the ETF and not futures.
Yeah, I think something else that I am watching here is Meta. Meta continues to catch a strong bid. Yeah, man, take a look at this. We had a strong push. We're doing relative volume. Remember when I say when Mag 7s are doing anything above like a 1.2, 1.3, even 1.4 RVOL, that could be a little significant. And Meta right off of the open, in the pre-market not doing much, but right off the open 1.4, 1.5, 1.4. Once again, pushing up into 670s on Meta, breaking through that opening range high as of right now.
Breaking through what?
Opening range high on Meta.
What?
670. I see what you did there. 6.7.
I didn't do anything.
It's a little,
I didn't do anything.
Hey, but Tesla is also coming in, so I'm just like, oh boy, yeah. So a little bit of a bid. Wow, look at that market bid coming in to the upside. Here we go. Let's see what is leading some of this run. We're already watching Tesla. Tesla bounce is definitely adding confluence. Meta rip is definitely adding confluence. Amazon, they dip bought it right there. Boom. That was a strong flush that I was talking about, but that's wiping right back up into pre-market highs as of right now on Amazon. MSFT as well. Didn't really sell off. Wow, look at this thing. This didn't really sell off at all off of the open. Bids only. VWAP hold. Another leg up, consolidating under 490s now on Softy. Apple not really doing anything too crazy. Kind of a choppy mess within its opening range. Tries to break the lows. Doesn't really come in. And then just coming right back up towards the highs now on Apple. Oh boy, look at this. Neil, looking at this chart, does something stand out to you right here on Apple? Bit of a level at 274s. 274s. That level comes in right off of the open. Boom, slam, 272.50s. Let's see what we do with 274s here on Apple.
You know what it looks like?
Alert. A flat top break.
No, it looks almost identical to the chart that I'm looking at right now, which is AMD's chart. Yes. At this level, like I said in my note this morning, if we break 217, then it's actually a long on AMD. But if and until it breaks out that top, it's been rejecting here. And look at the 15-minute candle. There's no 15-minute closes above 216.25 on this stock. So as long as that's true, then I'm going to favor, as I said, I'm going to favor the short side of the trade. But I don't mind being involved in a breakout if it can turn into one. You know what? The range, if it gets down to 215, I want to respect that as well. So I've already taken some out on the breakdown underneath 216 here, but yeah, until if and when you actually break that high, I'm going to stay a little bit bearish on AMD as it tries to go. Don't get me wrong, it's certainly trying to go. It's just not really going. Here's a 3-minute chart so you can get a better indication. It couldn't get to VWAP, which VWAP's a line in a chart. If I see it do this, where I'm waiting here and I have my bids were at VWAP, if I see it do that off of the lows, then I'm going to scalp out. So I scalped out what I was waiting for there, and then when I got the reload, I just scalped out in front of that prior candle. I'm looking for a playback into 215. So we get 215, great, fantastic, but I got to go back over to silver. It was probably a good decision to take most out in front of the volume weighted average price. Now it just needs to be able to hold this 68 on the way back in. Can you hold that prior low? If you can, I'm going to reload. But if I see this sort of blow through, then I just jump out of that trade. So I think it's more about the scalp trade here. Being able to play with this range a bit, but the market is really strong right now. That's why I got to be careful with AMD. Like, yeah, I got the right level, and it's working to the downside, at least for now. Like, we timed it right each time, but with the market breaking out, I want to make sure I get my bid and get the you-know-what out of Dodge.
Yes, sir. What am I looking at here? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Gmo, for the super chat saying LUNR clear street target to $25. Okay, let's take a quick look at LUNR here. Yeah, flying, it seems like, to the moon, breaking out of prior day's highs and coming into some prior resistance here from earlier on last week, 17 halves as of right now. But let's see what's happening now in the markets with Adara.
Yes, let's. But before we get into that, we're going to see what's happening over at Orogenics, OGEN. Thank you very much to Orogenics for sponsoring this portion of the show. Because, guys, millions of concussions, 0 approved therapies. Orogenics, trading on the NYSE's OGEN, is advancing a new standard with its intranasal brain-first approach to concussion treatment. With an $8.9 billion market on the horizon, Orogenics is positioned to drive what comes next. So see what's ahead and book a meeting today. Thank you to Orogenics, and thank you to this market. I guess you're trying to push higher, kind of right now waffling very much. I think kind of range bound from what we're doing pre-market and post-market as of heading into this session. So let's see if we can break out of this big green candle to the upside that we got, the second 15-minute candle of the day, but matched in volume with the first. This is a really interesting look here. Again, though, as I mentioned, still range bound for now. Chicago PMI coming out at 9:45 a.m., higher than expected, 43.5. Then we've got some news here with regards to these memory names. Samsung and SK Hynix reportedly getting U.S. approval for the 2026 chip-making tool shipments. Let's take a look here at TSLA. That's been the name on everybody's lips and everybody's mind today. Q4 deliveries on watch. The company posting their own compilation of analyst estimates, suggesting we're going to have a steeper year-over-year decline than maybe anticipated for those Q4 deliveries. Then we have to talk here about SLV Silver on watch once again. Probably the biggest name on watch within these metal plays compared to gold, palladium, platinum, etc. SLV trying to rebound after a big drop yesterday, its worst day since 2021. Last but not least, BA relatively strong, at least to start the session here, getting a $8.6 billion contract from the Pentagon. Also, I guess some expansion here for their contract with the DoD. So good look here for BA, at least early on. Again, right now, though, trying to hold on to this 219.80s level. But do make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. We're going to send you over to Neil and Obi.
Thank you very much, Adara. I am back. Oh, I have a key for that one.
Thank you very much, Adara.
I mean, let's be real for a second. Why am I going to say thank you, Adara, when I can hit a key and have literally the President of the United States do it in my stead, which is a fancy way of saying instead of me. I don't remember what show I always hear that from. I feel like it was like a Lord of the Rings thing or a Game of Thrones where they speak like that. Back into IBIT, I'm going to show you AMD in a second, but the new position for me was looking for the curl in Bitcoin. The second we got into, again, if I say 2 days ago, understand that I mean Boxing Day 2 sessions ago, that high at 50.5, that was the next level to wait for. So first I want to short it here, worked initially, then broke the prior bar, wait for it to get the next resistance and take it as it starts breaking down. I actually tried to get in first a little bit higher, which I'm still kind of offering, but I'm playing back into the volume weighted average price. So right back into VWAP is going to be the play. Get in, get out. AMD did a bottoming tail candle, as you can see, at the low. That was the target. Ideally, I would have gotten the second fill out in front of VWAP, and I told you the reason why I was getting both legs out here in front of 215.7. So in and out quickly in AMD as that stays range bound. So it's still inside of the same range, and this has been an overall top. I was even telling Obi, I would prefer if this stock would just break it out above 217, but it's not. So it's completely rejecting this entire area. If it can break down again, I might try to join a separate move. Silver is retesting that low, so our initial bounce play. I kind of feel like this was an opportunity. This was an opportunity to get it all out in front of the volume weighted average price, but I decided to hold on to a piece. Like I said, if we can bounce off this higher low, I'll look for a reload here, play back into VWAP. But if silver ends up trending down, just understand, yesterday you got an initial bounce into VWAP, then you got a deeper retracement with a small bounce here, deeper retracement, and that was a better play. And then the second one was a better play. It's almost as if the longs later on the dip buy for silver have tended to be a little bit better in this market. I've seen people screaming about Intel and Meta and some other names. Intel is still trending up 2%. Remember, there was some positivity in this name yesterday. I don't want to say it was a lot, but it was okay yesterday, and we're starting to fill in the gap on Intel into 37.5. Just like with IBIT, waiting for it to get to that next resistance. Is it on my radar? Sure it is. I mean, I trade this almost every single day, but not until we actually test 37.5. It's super strong, all green on the 15-minute, up 2 points into a flat Nasdaq and a slightly down ES. Like both the ES and the Nasdaq are down like 0.02, 0.03%. So there's a lot of relative strength here. Don't necessarily want to be fighting this one too early. I think you got to wait for your opportunity on a stock like Intel. It's very similar to, like I said, either IBIT or even that AMD trade. You know, allow it to show a bit of a top. Like you had some top, like a topping tail candle, like failing at a resistance level and then catching on the way back down, as opposed to standing in front of a moving freight train. That's where you can get yourself into a world of hurt. And as I say that, there's IBIT. So second short on IBIT, better than the first, but bottoming tail candle again. So just trying to stick with the plan of action. Sometimes some traders will be like, yeah, but you can hold it to the low. That's not really my style. If it's upward trending and I catch the curl, mean reversion trade, play the VWAP, show any sign of strength at VWAP, get the heck out of Dodge and move on to the next opportunity. So I'm ringing the register on that one. Doesn't mean that it's going to the moon or anything. I'm going to still remain bearish on this and just look for the next eventual setup here in IBIT, everybody. Ooh, I just saw Shadow Rap saying Tesla, go, go, go. Oh, that was a deeper dip. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Tesla, go Tesla. I'm with you there. At first I was going to say, yeah, Tesla's a pretty weak stock. Forget about Tesla. But I did not see that move. Again, Tesla wasn't on my radar until 444. But that is a heck of a bounce. I don't know if it can go all the way V-shaped with the market looking as weak as it is, but that goes from all red candles to all green rather quickly and is holding above the volume weighted average price. So suddenly Tesla opening the day relatively weak and looking somewhat strong. That's exactly what I'm hoping for on SLV here. Still no hold over VWAP. I got to zoom back in so you can see this. I mean, Tesla's obviously going to moving dollars. Silver tends to move more in the middle of the day as opposed to the open. If you can position yourself right and it just trends up from here, great. But until that actually happens, I'm hoping that it can start to hold this trend line. But we only have we have one test here, we have two tests there. I don't really even respect the trend line until we got 3 points on it. So there's a lot of time left for silver to show a little bit more structure for that long. And we do have a super chat. And apologies for if we missed a super chat, that's completely on me. And let me go to the bathroom for a second there. But we do have this one. Oh shoot, that's actually Serve. That's an old one. Is it Live Trading Bull? What's your long-term outlook on Serve? I like the robotics plays. I actually do like Serve as a robotics play. I'll get the next one up in a quick little second, but that was an old one that we missed. Look, I like the notion or the play in robotics. You probably already heard me say that I much prefer AVAV in a pure drone play than Serve. I don't love the chart of Serve here. I think it's a decent buy at $9, but decent doesn't always cut it. It's under the 200 period and the 50 period moving averages. Both of those are weak. It might be up 4 points today, but I don't necessarily love this daily chart until we can get back above the 50 and the 200, break the downward trend that we're on. Just go to the daily and you'll be able to see. Can we come to this chart? There we go. See that downtrend? I'd almost rather you break that downtrend and be above the 50 period moving average, or you're just hoping for some lows, like consolidative lows at $8 and $5. So again, I like to play. I like other names better for my personal account. And then there was another super chat here from Shaned. Please compare Rocket Labs and RKLX. Can you help me understand how this can be possible? So without even looking, anything is possible in the markets.
Anything is possible.
No, I mean, and be dead serious. No, whatever correlation you think might exist or whatever relationship you think should hold, none of it ultimately matters on a shorter time frame. It's all completely irrelevant. The market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. That being said, when you are looking at anything like a leveraged ETF, understand that the leveraged instrument is going to have decay involved with it. So RKLX and RKLB should move the same intraday, but you don't necessarily have to have the same percentage movements because of decay over time. So you can have, they can actually have different moves from prior close because of decay. So understand that when you're dealing with any leverage product, like an RKLX. It's wild to me that they have leverage products on basically everything now. It used to be like a handful of things, Obi.
Yeah.
Now it's like, well, everything should have a leveraged product. I mean, what could possibly go wrong there? They
at the end of the day, it's just they realize that these are products that people will buy into.
Agreed.
And then someone suggests to their higher up, say, hey, listen, I can make these products, and then we can make it work. And there's going to be a party on the other side that's more than willing to kind of take some of the liquidity that we provide. So I don't know how any of that works, but yeah,
we're all about the liquidity.
Makes a lot of sense that we have leverage products for anything and everything, because everyone's willing to participate. Everyone's like, okay, I want to trade something that's leveraged. And it's the whole, it's like culture.
It's what we were talking about before. Everyone is trying to get rich or make that faster. The next 10x. Every trade has to be a home run. Every swing has to be, like, that's sort of the thing now. And believe me, I get it. Let's be real. The cost of everything is going up. The rate at which it goes up isn't always as fast as it was before, but that is certainly true. No one's going to be like my pops, where you work at one company for your entire career, get like, hopefully the company doesn't Nortel, but whatever, like the example thing, you work at one company, you get like your pension through them, everything is fine, you generate your wealth through there, you buy a home, that goes up. None of that stuff is really existing anymore. So where everyone's chasing gains in the market, chasing gains with gambling, chasing gains here and there, and that's why there's a rise of leverage ETFs. That's why there's a rise of the prediction markets. That's why gambling's gonna be legal everywhere. It's all in your face. That being said, if you treat trading like a casino, then you're going to get casino-like results. That's all. And in the casino, but in the casino, the house always wins. So you treat trading like, try to have a method to your madness. Understand that consistency is going to be a heck of a lot better for you in the long run than trying to turn everything into a home run. But the market's starting to come back in. Let me just quickly, I did take a trend trade back into Intel, not back into, but into for the first time. There's a quick trend up, 1, 2, 3, 4 points, break. I didn't get it till this chase. We'll play into the, hopefully the low of the day, but certainly VWAP, as I'm into this one for the first time. I said wait till 37.50, and I take a trend break at the quarters, and end up with the quarters anyways. But yeah, 37.50 was the spot here on Intel. Supporting them pop.
Yeah, funny enough, I just got up to go to the bathroom. The last thing I talked about was Lunar. Lunar was up. What? And yeah, I take a look at it now after I sat back down. What a beautiful reversion back to the downside. Hopefully we get some of that on Tesla here as well. Tread the short as well, had a stop in 460s, come back, sit down, not really following through back into VWAP. What's going on, Adara?
Hi guys, we have to talk here about Warner Brothers. CNBC reporting that WBD is planning on rejecting Paramount Skydance's amended bid. Again, that bid hostile, valued at around $108.4 billion. And that's even though this bid does include a $40.4 billion personal guarantee from Larry Ellison. So again, Warner Brothers still wants NFLX to acquire them. They are not interested as of right now in anything that PSKY has to offer. Incredibly choppy trading here for NFLX this morning, guys. Back to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that means you still got to take, if it gets close to 30, you're still going to want to take that. Remember that the Netflix bid has a stock component in it. It's like the lower Netflix stock goes, I mean, realistically, like it's a cash amount of Netflix stock if Netflix is above a certain range. Think about that for a second. So you only get, like, it's guaranteed to be like $4 and something cents. So that $27.75, which is Netflix's bid, it's only that high if Netflix stock remains above a price that it's underneath right now. So if Netflix continues to go down, the value of that bid is not static like was reported initially. So everyone was like, it was $27.75 in cash. No, it's not. Not if Netflix falls under. It's like a VWAP calculation or over a specific period of time, which it's under right now. So if you get close to that Skydance bid of 30, it's been a sell every single time. I've been yelling that one out as often as we could. And what happens? Every single time this has gotten close, it's putting in lower highs under that 30. So it continues to go to the downside. I'm still in a piece of silver, but
Apple day low. I had
everything is at the lows. Well, most things are at the lows right now. But SLV hit enter one more time. How many times do I have to? Give me a second here. There we go. We're still holding the line on SLV. You're not upward trending yet. Remember I said I wanted to see if it can start making an uptrend? That hasn't really happened, but it is really testing that low. So it's getting to the point where I think I can add to this at some point here on silver. But no break of VWAP, still lower highs.
VWAP sellers are holding.
Dude, the VWAP sellers have been holding.
Like, look at the stack. Like, whenever it gets up, there's a stack of
Remember
offers.
it's SSR, though.
Yeah. I mean, I like it, but I'm not going to really participate right now. I think if I liked the short here, like sellers really showed themselves in the pre-market 69.30s. Guess what? It comes all the way back up. Sure, that's a little bit of a tape turn, scalp, whatever, doesn't matter. But getting back in, using these reasons to sell to be like, all right, supply has shown itself twice in the pre-market, one time very significantly, very distinctly, comes right back into the area, maybe on a little bit lower volume. Sellers step right back in, coming in off of into the open, comes to 69.10, sure, about 20 pennies away from the high, but boom, sellers step right back in, and then now we're holding VWAP. Come on, man. I have to be short in the pre-market, stay short off of the open, get more aggressive into and through VWAP off of the open, and then look for the chop to be like, all right, this is maybe somewhere I can cover into. But yeah, I think it's breaking out of this consolidation. So I'm just watching it. It might just be a range day here on silver as it just chops around in about $1 range. But there could definitely be opportunities there. I have no idea. I'm waiting, watching, and being patient. Meta pulling back in off of 672s there. I still like my short here on Tesla. It's doing everything that I want to see. Don't have enough, like always, but yeah, that's something I do have to get a little bit better at. Taking more size on the stuff that's actually working, and then keeping the stuff that doesn't work a little tighter. But yeah, we'll wait and see. What are you guys watching as well? I want to know, where's the next opportunity? Where's the next trade? Apple's bouncing off of its lows, but not really doing anything crazy, so I'm not really going to get involved here. Tesla, I want to stick with this. Let's see what it does with that VWAP market. We talk about swipe or no swiping. Swipe to the upside, swipe back down. The swiper gave it back. And then coming into range lows, opening range lows here on both the Nasdaq and the ES. So if Tesla gives up VWAP, or if the market breaks this opening range low, I like this even better. We'll wait and see if that actually comes into fruition here. I'm watching multiple time frames at the same time. So that gives me a bit of confluence as well for potential moves. Yeah, Meta all the way back down to VWAP. That was consistent selling. Let's take a look at that together here. On META, Meta, go to the 1 minute chart. We'll see it a little bit better here. Look at that, Neil. As soon as we break back through 670, this was a nice push. This was an opening range high break, boom, 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 nice little push. But as soon as this breaks down, beautiful reversion to VWAP. 666s is what we're trading at. 66705s is what we're trading at right now, and coming back into VWAP. 66705 is VWAP. So, maybe a bit of 6-7 confluence.
No, it's not.
Lucky. Is it a lucky number?
I don't know. I don't think it's a lucky number. I think there are certain things in trading that have turned out true with ridiculous prices like that, or random prices like that, 420 being one of them.
420 is a real level, Neil.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, it took a while for that to be a real thing.
It's a real level.
I don't think I would not put any stock in anything just because it happens to be at 67 or 67. It's a different demographic. Anyways, that's just my opinion. So silver, here's what I'm looking at for silver. I'm now on the bid for that support line. We're going to try to add back into this on support. If it breaks a trend, I jump out. When it gets to the top of the trend line, I want to take some profit here and then look for a potential breakout. This is the trend from the morning. So if we can break out above here, I don't mind joining or adding there, but otherwise I'm trying to add in front of like 68.4, which is more or less where we have this thing to begin with. Intel was the other one that we're tracking on the trend. So we broke the trend line. We haven't broken the prior high. I haven't taken any profit in front of VWAP just yet, looking for that push lower. The market takes out the lows. Feel like we should be heading back down into the bottom. But I am reminded there's a couple of other names that I like. One of them is to jump back into IBIT. Not yet, but I'm getting to the point where forget about this top. Might have to start thinking about this 50 level again here on IBIT. Bitcoin seems to be drawn towards 88K. And if it breaks 88,000, and I don't want to wait for it to be all the way down at the low of the day. I'll just play it off VWAP. So I might just get in smaller, or I might just play this with a tight. Actually, I'm just going to play this with a tight stop. It makes no sense to get in small and hold it a whole percentage against me. What I will do is scalp it at VWAP and just give it to the local high. I'm going to try to jump in at VWAP, get out if it breaks that local high, but silver is really starting to go. As I said, if it gets to the top of that trend line, I'm taking the profit and then moving on to the next opportunity there.
Yeah, silver is actually pushing right back into 69s as of right now, so I'm watching that closely. I guess that VWAP breakout, the 68.60 breakout might have been the area to push back in. Again, that's where buyers really got aggressive, 68.64s in the pre-market. So I'm keeping these levels in mind, but I think now we have a bit of the small cap recap with Adara. What's going on? Ooh. So look at the offer stuff.
Let's start with ASTI. This is Ascent Solar Technologies. I've seen some people in our chat talking about this name now. Unfortunately, I could not find a news catalyst on them, but I do believe I've seen this ticker running before. They have a market cap here of around $16.5 million, so pretty small market cap. Even smaller, though, I guess even more significant, rather, is their short float, about 14% short float here for ASTI. Let's talk here about AEHL. Now, again, no news on this one either. A couple weeks ago, they announced they're changing the timing of their fiscal years. Today, though, nothing. Their market cap, $8.3 million. Float, only about 590,000 shares, so very small float. Short float, almost 40%. This one was in our morning watch list. You could have found that on our morning watch list. Again, it is free to subscribe. And last but not least, your PFSA Profusa. This one announcing the restructuring their senior secured convertible notes. And they've got a market cap around $9.5 million. So we send you back to Obi and Neil.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Tesla's coming right back into this 460. So I think it's, yeah, I don't know. VWAP chop, not really want to stay. I don't really want to stay involved with this one. So bye-bye. I'll get rid of that. Silver came into 69s and pulling back in. So we talk about, again, a little bit of maybe of a supply zone, maybe a little bit of a demand zone in the lower end of the range. Maybe we just chop around in the range. I'm watching the market as well. We're still chilling at the lower end of the range.
ES and Nasdaq.
Yeah, both of them, with about 7.5 minutes left on the day here. Great snipe on that silver.
But look what's going on in silver. Like that wedge that we're looking at before. There we go. That wedge that we're looking at before, it essentially rejects the top of the trend line. So I have a 3-minute chart up if you're trying to follow along. So if you look at the trend on a 3-minute, it essentially rejected that break. So I jumped out, but now I want to look for the bottom of the wedge. Does it hold? Like the first time I just got in because it was literally the first green candle. So I wanted the first available dip buy, which is the first green candle. But now it's a bit of a trend line if we can hold on to, on SLV it's 68.5. Okay, just a reminder to everybody, if I say silver, you know I'm trading the ETF, so we're just talking about SLV, the ETF, not actual silver futures. So I'm looking at this about 68.5 for a re-entry. That's going to be the spot. I did jump back into IBIT, have it underneath VWAP. We'll look to play it down into the low. I don't have any bids out yet, but I'm stopping out above the local high as this one continues to go. The Nasdaq, which we've mentioned, is attempting to bounce. There's a double bottom.
There's a bounce.
So, I can show you a bunch of trend trades or reversions that have worked, like the reversion on IBIT worked, which is a short, the reversion on silver worked, which is a long, but there's another side to that coin. When one of them doesn't work, you break that high, and then I got to jump out, and that'll be Intel. So those mean reversions, you got to adhere to your stop, and we're pressing into it here on Intel. Up 2% today is Intel. For reasons, I'm going to say reasons unknown. There's no particular catalyst today with Intel as far as I know. There was a couple of days ago where it did have a rally. Oh, sorry, I guess that was like 3 sessions ago, where it did have a nice rally off of the bottom, but it's been mostly inside days for Intel. A little bit stronger relatively today, for sure.
I can confirm I am not seeing any news on Intel.
There we go.
Yeah, the thing with Intel, man, like I have Intel pretty aggressively charted, let's say that, and I do think.
What does that mean?
I like my support and resistance levels. I think what's happening here on Intel is just a bigger picture technical move. Could be wrong, don't know. But yeah, no, it's trending back to the top of the range, I think. The prior high was was it 37.95s? I think we're just headed back towards that supply zone. Yeah, no, market coming in, that 69, great place to sell, Neil, on that 69, because we're pulling right back in to that range. And now I'm curious, what do we do with that 68.60 area? I want to know. I want that piece of information. Well, we already have information. Now I want to see it actually come into fruition here. That's a nice little bid stack, 30,000 shares on the offer. Again, they've been following it down from 69s once again. So a little bit of a sandwich between 68s and 69s here. A little support and resistance right on top of each other within a dollar range. So I'm watching that. Nothing else going on here. What are you guys talking about? What are you guys trading? That's what I'm waiting for. Where's the next trade? Just Kendo says, take a trade. Okay, just because you said so. No, I'm joking. That's not how this happens. That's not how this works. You gotta be patient. Patience is the hardest thing to do.
It is hard to do.
Majority of people just can't be patient.
The position board is also
that's their issue for the most part. It's just like, no, sitting on your hands is a skill.
Viewer, like, I understand the other thing happen is throughout the morning, the position board has been off, so it's like it's not working properly, and we understand and we're trying to work on it. Apologies for that, but even when I am in position, it's not showing. I'm still in IBIT and Intel. I got out of the AMD short. I'm temporarily out of the silver long, looking for a re-entry, but it's again, I'll have to take the next fill I get, like it'll start to show up. So the second I actually, but that's been happening time and time again. So you guys can just tell us, let us know. It just needs to be refreshed. But I'm short IBIT underneath the volume weighted average price. We shorted at VWAP once, which was the $50 level the first time. If we can come to my chart very quickly.
Take a look at UNH.
There we go. But it's actually trying to break back into the upside. I said what I would do here is just give it a really tight stop. Like the best trade was clean when it failed off of about 50.5. This one still looks like you could find a little bit of strength starting to come in. I am looking up, and if you see me look up, it's because I got to get over the silver. I guess we're not retesting this on SLV. I thought I saved this for myself, but for now we're holding VWAP more so than we're holding this trend line. So the stocks I'm trading today are silver, IBIT. Obviously, you guys seen Intel, AMD a couple of times, but silver is sort of the one that I wanted to be the most active on, and I really only have the one entry for now. I kind of missed this entry to the long side, and now I don't know if we're going to be able to get it again, but I am looking at this trend line for a bit of a hold here in SLV. So we'll see. Like I'm not. Oh, there goes the position board again. I'm not jumping in like willy-nilly. I want to see us retest this trend line on the 3-minute before I jump into it as well.
Yeah, no, I'm just waiting for the next trade there. Just talking to some people here in the chat. I mean, yeah, like sometimes I am way too off risk. You're right, 100%. I agree with you. Just Kendo is in the chat saying, yeah, I'm way too off risk. Yeah, man, think about it. I'm so distracted right now. Right, I'm kind of I'm doing a show, trying to trade, looking at multiple different tickers. I know I'm missing trades for sure. If I'm back at my desk, trust me, believe me, I'm taking a lot more fills and being more precise and more focused. Right, but at the same time, this is a bit of a balancing act that you have to kind of learn to do as well. Is a little different of an environment. Optimal trading scenario, absolutely not. And again, Neil can speak on this, you know what I mean? It's just like we're doing multiple things at once. And especially when you're doing that, it's important to take trades that really matter. And I said this in the chat, like a lot of people are hungry, people are talking about like, okay, some people are more hungry than others. You gotta have hunger, for sure I have hunger. But like what I said in the chat, you can be hungry, but also respect yourself. Make sure you're eating the best of food, not just munching on junk to satiate your grumbles. Right? There's a difference.
Yeah, you want to focus on the banana bread from
Ramin. Yeah, focus on the good stuff.
Thank you, Ramin.
Sometimes you miss the good stuff. That's fine. That's okay.
It was actually very good.
Great trades are like what was that? Great trades are like buses. You miss one, maybe in the next 15, another one's coming. Who knows, right? But it's about precision and consistency. And if you
it depends on how good your local transit is.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's true. Some days it's dead. Some days it's a holiday.
Not necessarily the analogy that I would make.
Because I'm not the best at making analogies, but we'll see.
Some people would not give, whatever. The TTC is much better than it used to be.
That meta short is actually prime. But you know what? I was looking at copper this morning as well. Let's see what copper's doing. Again, kind of a trade alongside that of gold and silver. See, there you go. See, I was talking about getting out of this trade before it even shows me 460s on Tesla, because I was short underneath 460, but the action was very distinct. I covered more than 90% of the position down here at 458s and some change because it held VWAP. This is a strong bid. I missed this reversion as well. This reversion was probably one of the top ones in my book on the day in the morning session right here. Tesla, strong flush. Sellers have been in charge for multiple days over and over, but maybe a little too far too fast going from 463s to almost $10 down, almost $10 down to 454s, and then catching a bit of a bid back through 455s. I actually wanted to punch here if you guys were watching. I even said I missed it a little bit at 456s, and I was like, just size down and just take it, dude. And I didn't take it. I waited. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to take this turn back into VWAP because that's the next trade for me. But here's the thing, that trade, that hold of VWAP back for a push through this, I don't know too much about that, but that is working out. The continuation trades, man, I'm still learning how to properly take continuation trades. That's a little bit of, I guess, not my shtick. I like my reversions because there's a good reason why I think I like reversions, because it's a lazy way. Because I already see what's happening, and I'm waiting, I'm watching, and I'm stalking the price action to become distinctly different. And when it becomes distinctly different, then I look for confluences to get involved for those reversions of certain types of price action. And again, you can see that kind of here. I was looking at UNH. Somebody in the chat pointed out UNH. This was great, right? I mean, maybe you get stopped out once for the reversion, but you get back in on this chop slowdown breakdown, and it does get you down to VWAP. So there is some sort of a reversion down to a mean, right? So yeah, Mike to Ryder. Yeah, it is the lazy way. Sometimes some of the best trades, man. What I'm realizing, some of the easier trades, they're just boring. They're not flashy. They're not crazy. Sure, some of them work right away, some of them don't. But yeah, it's not necessarily.
You ever watch a good tournament poker player?
He's just.
If you look at anybody that is good at poker, if you don't have the ability to sit there and fold a lot, you can't play poker.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
You gotta be able to fold a lot of hands.
There are very few players that can Gus Hansen it and just be involved in every single hand. There's a few, but I promise you this, most of the players that play that way, let's just say this, I love playing against players like that. Like my favorite thing on the poker table, to the extent that I don't really play as much as I used to. I used to play some online, but the thing that I like the most, as I'm trying to nibble in, I'm trying to get into this off of this bounce here on silver. So, okay, we just got filled. So again, let me just go back to this trade for a second. I'll finish that analogy in a second. With the upward trend is holding, there's your wick top. I want it to hold and show me a close above. Technically, this candle hasn't even closed yet, so it hasn't been confirmed. There you go. Now you got a bit of a better hold. If the second one can hold a second time like this one did, then I want to add to it. If we break the trend, then I am out. That should all be relatively obvious, but heck, I don't know. You could be tuning in for the first time and you haven't seen me look at these trend lines before. That's the plan of action on silver. Now, what I was getting at is, if a poker player is sitting next to me playing every single hand, I'm just getting more and more information, and I usually feel pretty confident that I'm going to take their money. And I think that's exactly what the market makers are trying to do. If you don't have some kind of a plan of action, they're just looking for an opportunity to punish you. So. That is what it is. All right, so in the silver, I already mentioned that. I am seeing NVIDIA, just to go over some things that we have not been tracking. I know we haven't been looking at NVIDIA, too far out there. That is trending downside without many signs of breaking. However, what I would note is it is attempting to break trend, which if it breaks trend, I was about to tell you, if it breaks trend, this market's going to go up. Ooh. And then the one mean reversion that didn't work is going to be Intel's this morning. Every other one did work with the exception of Intel. Intel breaks the high. The second it broke the high, I have my out. Although I did punch in and out earlier because I hit the wrong stock. I'm like, nope, don't want that ad. Was really only adding on the trend break. And then the second you break that high, I'm out, even by 1 cent. Doesn't look like it went more than a penny past that high, though. So there's a chance I might have got wicked out, but all you can do is sort of stick to your rules. So I got my re-entry into silver. We'll look for this to actually break the upper trend line on this wedge, because that's where it would look much better to me. Like re-entry here, but man, if we can start breaking out above this trend line, that's so much better for SLV. If you watched this yesterday, you will have noted that it was much better as a long at 10:30, which we're at right now, and then again at like 1:30. And it's done this before. Like go to a 15-minute, like this dip a couple of days ago when it was weak early or not moving much, that was at 10:45, it made its bottom and then ran. Like this bottom in here is at a 10:30. So it is at about this time usually that silver makes its bigger move, and you've got to be patient for it. And I understand that could be down, I get it. If it breaks this trend line down, then I should be shorting it, but for now it's a long play. So the long has already worked, but now I'm reloaded, so you can throw that one out and don't worry about celebrating it, all that kind of nonsense. I want this long to break out above 69. If that can happen, I think it's more of an add than anything else above that 69, which just happens to be a level.
The best of levels. Anyways, Sidhu coming into its opening range low. So I've taken a little bit of a stab here. Like I said before, I'm not the best at continuation trades. That's a playbook I do have to work on a lot more this year. And I think one of my goals, it is the end of the year. We can talk about how our year has been and goals for next year. I think one of my big goals for 2026 is going to be first of all continuing to work on my reversion trades, because I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity there. But working on one of my weaknesses as well is continuation trades, just taking something that's already up so much and getting out of that reversion mindset, finding the nuances where I'm like, okay, the probability of reversion on this is maybe not as high as I think, and then looking for the right kind of price action to take the continuation.
Well, you know what I think would work for you then?
Yes.
Instead of always looking for the trend line break, look to just join the trend.
So I know it's easy to say, but I can't I have to kind of like.
No, but I know what you're getting at. I do the same thing myself. So here's a live example, literally a live example right now.
Yeah.
Silver is on, like now there's an upward trend.
Yes.
So instead of waiting for this trend line to break and short it, I mean, of course that's going to look good, and maybe it gets all the way up to like 69.5, and somewhere in the future, I'm shorting it on a trend line. I can't make it up. I'm not going to draw a bunch of fake lines in there outside of my trend lines. No, but like you could short that, it breaks trend, or you can look for the bounce off the trend line and then just play a bunch of scalp longs. Now, nobody's perfect. You're going to miss some. Where's my fail key? Did I long it here when it held the trend line? No, I didn't get it, but when it did it the third time, we'll take it. When it breaks out here, we'll try to add to it. But as you see that trend form, you can just try to play alongside of the trend, understanding that, okay, on the other side of it, when it does break down, I'm going to short it too. And then you can play it in either direction. As a day trader, you have that opportunity and ability to do it. Not all traders are able to. I understand. Here at Real Trading, I can make a million trades as many times as I want to, and I don't have to worry about PDT. If you're under PDT, it's a different mindset, no questions asked. But I did want to jump here.
Ooh, what is this?
Did we miss Jess Kendo?
Yes, I was going to bring that up. Okay. Thank you, Jess Kendo, for the super chat.
Yeah, I wanted to just throw that in there as well. We got a super chat. That's for you.
Well, I thought you were, okay, yeah, no, no, respect to you as well, man. I love having good conversations with people in the chat. You just throwing some respect there. Banked on a few of your alerts. I mean, hey, man, that's not my intention, but if you guys can learn and definitely gain some value from what we're doing, then yeah, all the power to you. Happy New Year to you as well, man. Any New Year's plans?
Oh, I'm pretty boring.
What are your plans?
What's hilarious is no, we're staying in for New Year's. We just went up north. I can get rid of this. And thank you for the super chat, just Kendo. No, we're staying in this New Year's. Which oddly enough is my parents are more exciting. They're going down to Niagara Falls.
Oh, nice.
Which is pretty cool. My parents are all about the train. They're taking the train down to Niagara Falls.
Oh, nice. What's it called? Via Rail?
There's actually a Go now.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I think there is. So I don't know which one they're taking. If you're not from around the GTA, who cares? They're taking the train. But there's now two options down there. There's like the casinos down in Niagara Falls. Obviously, there's the falls themselves, good restaurants, all that kind of stuff, for sure. But before we go to Adara, I just want to read this comment from Ian Gantner. You are not smarter than the market. That's just your ego talking. Join the trend. It's the best way to make money, period, full stop. I agree with the first part.
Yes, I agree with the first part.
And I agree with the second statement. You are not smarter than the market. That's just your ego talking. 100% true. I've been trading for over 20 years. The mentality of understanding that you are not smarter than the market is the best way to start with that first. The smartest scientists or all the smartest people I know understand what they don't know first, and the ones that talk about how much they know or how great they are, usually those are the people that lose money, in my experience, or those are the people that don't know anything. That being said, join the trend. It's the best way to make money, period, full stop. There's always a way that works for everybody.
Yeah.
Some traders will just wait for that perfect opportunity to reverse the trend or mean revert. That's fine. Whatever works for you. There's more than one way to make money. Just understand that it doesn't always involve being smarter than the market. Yeah. You can be at times, but that's not sustainable. What is sustainable is going to Adara for an update at the desk, because that is always a good idea. Or not.
Before we, we are going to talk about Sector Watch, but first we're going to take a moment to thank our good friends at eSignal. Traders, listen up. First month free. That's right, we're waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to Elite. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Our platform is everything. Infinite data, instant trading, lightning fast market insights, game changing charts, predict with back testing, reliable, real-time data. Global markets at your fingertips, all in one platform. Don't miss out. Execute your best trades now with eSignal. Are you ready to elevate your trading? Scan that QR code or check the link in the description. Thank you very much to eSignal. And let's take a look here at the sector board, which is, as you might expect, majority red here. We do have some patches of strength. Electronic technology, though, NVIDIA and Apple are red. I will say Boeing with that Pentagon contract to the upside. Intel also up 2.5%. Now, Meta and Oracle's been beaten up as of late. Meta actually here with that Manus acquisition. These two are trying to hold up this tech services sector. Other than these patches of green, though, the rest of these sectors are going to be really weak in the tech side of things. Moving on from tech, finance here, BRKB, second day in a row, trying to outperform its peers. The rest of the sector incredibly weak, with Citigroup continuing to give back its stellar performance from the last week's session. Retail trade really red, health tech red, producer manufacturing red, consumer non-durables red. There is a little bit of strength here in health services with UNH, as mentioned earlier, relatively strong. Energy minerals also green right now, so it's not all bleak, but you would be forgiven for us not assuming that's the case. Back to you.
And I love this, and I'm gonna read. I was gonna respond in the chat, but I'm just gonna read this first. For me and Gantner again. Sure, Neil, there's always special cases when we're talking about that trend or not joining the trend and which is the best way to trade. But there are far rarer than trend working. Look to get in the trend, not fight it. And that's
100%. Man.
I don't think you should be, I always try not to be 100%, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to be absolutist, right? I'm not a Sith. There you go. Only Siths speak in absolutes. Traders should not speak in absolutes either. If you speak in absolutes, you will think in absolutes, and if you think in absolutes, you will either think you're absolutely right or absolutely wrong, and you will lose money. The more absolute you are, the more likely you are to take big losses. But that being said, to each their own, and I've said this a million times, oftentimes, I got out at the high, I looked for a turn at the high of the day, the same way I look for a turn at, but I mean, look, here's the thing. I'll look for a turn at VWAP, I'll look for a turn on the trend line. I'll look for a turn at the high of the day. I can tell you there's a million times that I will get out here and then it's at 70 and I look like an idiot, but that's just my style of trading. And there's a million times that, it will look good in the short run. Maybe I got out too much in front of VWAP on AMD. I don't know. Maybe I should have been back into AMD at VWAP instead of looking for silver. I don't know which one was better. They were both worked, but you have to make a determination. I determined that buying the dip on the silver trend was going to be better than shorting AMD at VWAP. Was that right? Who cares? Ultimately, you've just got to make a decision and then work with that after the fact. Was it the right call for all the right reasons? Now, I'm looking for this trend back in silver. If we can just keep making these higher lows, fantastic. But that's now 3 tests. The next one should be at the volume-weighted average price where I'm looking to get back in. We got about 15 minutes and we're going to go to the midday. But I'm just going to let everybody know here, Joe's on holiday. So Obi is doing yeoman's work today. Let me know if you want me to grab you lunch. It's going to say it out loud.
No, I'm gonna do the same thing I did yesterday. I'm just gonna order and go grab it whenever it comes in. Yeah,
I can go pick it up if you want. It's just the guy's doing all day work today because Sean is at a hockey tournament. He's back tomorrow, but Joe's literally gone. He's somewhere sunny and nice and fun for the entire week, but we're somewhere where it's a heck of a lot more fun because there's lots of trading opportunities out there in this market. I know you're grinding. We appreciate.
I just provide the liquidity. I'm a liquidity provider. So
all of the best liquidity.
I don't know. No idea. But Sidhu is kind of working out. We dropped down below that opening range low. Let me pull that up here. Somebody in the chat pointed out this stock here, Rare, Ultragenics Pharmaceutical Inc., doing some relative volume pretty much all day yesterday. I don't know if there was news on this. Bit of a gap down. Wow. So I guess they probably missed on some sort of trial or something. Let me just take a quick look here. What's it? Overweight. Thank you, Dara. Down over 44%, a decrease. Data talk. They probably missed on something right here. But Dara will look.
They did miss primary endpoints.
Primary
totally
endpoints.
Right.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. So yeah, a little bit of a gap down yesterday, catching a strong bid today. So a bit of a reversion happening on the day. We're doing about 2 to 3 times relative volume, roughly. Holding this VWAP right now, 2151 is where that is. So maybe I'm gonna throw this one up on my watch list here. What needs to be kicked out? Under Armour, it's just holding $5, so I'll take that out of there, and I'll just keep an eye on Rare. If you guys are wondering what's on my current watch list as of right now, I have silver, SLV. I have Micron. What a beautiful reversion to VWAP that's having right now. A bit of a miss on my part. I was watching it. GLD, I'm watching Sidhu as well. And then COPX, which is a Global X Copper Miners ETF. And then now Rare. BNAI from yesterday. That's what I got that on watch. And then a little bit of IONQ as well. So we'll see if any of those come into fruition. Yeah, wow, look at this Micron.
You know what's at the top of the visualizer we haven't talked about at all? Ooh. Oh, by the way, okay, silver is...
ASTS.
Before, I'm going to get to that in a second, but silver, instead of going all the way down to the bottom of the trend line, see that wedge that I had before, which was resistance? It's now bouncing off of that. So I don't mind jumping in this again if it just holds. I have 2 lines on the chart. It's a 3-minute chart. It's effectively the bottom trend, which I haven't even drawn that well, but whatever. And then you have the all-day top. So from the highs in the pre-market, there's that trend line. And if it starts holding above the prior trend line, which it's trying to do, I'll just jump in here on the next reload instead of down there. But it's ASTS that is the top of our visualizer right now. ASTS, it's the space names. ASTS is number 1, EXO. I thought that was ESCO, but it's EKSO, so Exo Bionics is going to be there. Silver, Tesla, Intel, all things we've covered. Meta we have, Xena we have not. Neo, NVIDIA, most of which we've talked about, but certainly it's ASTS leading the way. Unfortunately, I really never liked the whole Christmas tree move because, again, no one decorates their Christmas tree green on one side and red on the other, but that's what it's done. Complete pullback all the way to where it started on ASTS. The only good news, here's the good news. Daily chart, 50 period. Now you have a bit of a double bottom the last couple of days off that 50 period, which is about $69.50. So there's a nice potential rounded bottom, but you gotta hold, I'd say above the 74. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were talking about SLV, not ASTS, sorry. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was just moving. Because look, ASTS, we want to try to cover what moves. Like my plan of action is more or less the same.
Silver is winding up.
It is winding up.
That's a bit of a wind up, man.
Oh, it's definitely a wind up. I just want to make sure we cover it ASTS, or there's a lot of traders call it ASTS instead of ASTS. I understand AST Space Mobile, yeah, whatever they're called. But ASTS on move, silver on the way back up. I'm now playing the prior resistance as support instead of waiting for that bottom.
Resistance is futile. What was I going to talk about?
That's from the mole.
That's from, sorry, what? The mole?
Well, it's Star Trek, but the mole used to talk about Les Resistance.
Oh, yeah.
South Park. South Park movie?
So South Park, I'm not an avid watcher of South Park, but I've seen episodes here and there. Great show there. But it seems like silver is just stuck in this range, holding now, reclaiming the VWAP, holding the high of the range there, or sorry, not holding. Holding as in holding resistance at the high of the range is what I mean. Market with a bit of a bounce. So I do have things on watch. Micron is coming right back up into VWAP. That was really good. Take a look at this reversion. That's absolutely beautiful here. You know, just some arbitrary chart art. Kind of when you start to break that trend, maybe a little bit of a false break of that opening range low is what kind of adds some stronger confluence to this, and then breaking some structure, bidding right back up, and then pushing all the way back into VWAP, and now maybe a little bit higher. So this is price structure resistance to get that VWAP out of there right here. So what is that? High is 296.39s right here. Look at that power bar hold as well. That's clean stuff happening here. On Micron, great opportunities on the names that we pointed out in the morning. I was just like, yeah, there isn't much going on in this market, which kind of maybe causes, you know, a lot of traders and participants to start focusing on maybe one thing, and really becomes more of a PvP, which I like. Let's play. So some of these moves are very clean, very aggressive, and pretty decent in my books for sure. Here, but yeah, where's the next trade? That's what I'm looking for as of right now. I know I missed the Micron reversion. This is something that I definitely should be in, and a little bit of a miss on my part here. But we'll see. The day's not over. We're just about to go into the midday as well, and I'll join you there once again. So we'll see if Micron now holds that VWAP. Sellers were pretty aggressive here off of the open. Underneath 300, we almost got to 300. These are fresh all-time highs here, intraday highs, maybe giving us some more significance with some volume there. 298.83s is the high there. So I'm going to have close eyes on this one here.
You've seen Alphabet? This is one that you like.
What's
I just got into silver, but I just saw someone saying you missed the Google reversion. So what this
reversion?
would be
the reversion of the reversion. This one right here.
Well, I didn't draw this very well.
Oh, not bad. Yeah, I don't know.
I'd say this here. That's a little.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little bit tougher. It's just not as clean, but it's working out. It's working out.
Oh, it's certainly working. Well, I mean, look at VWAP there. 314.5 could be your target. The market also starting to come back into the highs. I thought I had a bid down here. All right, let me just correct the mistake. I thought I was bidding on silver in front of that prior trend line. Looking to scalp silver into the high of the day. But if this breaks, remember a couple of things here. I want to be long as long as this trend holds, but if this trend breaks, I have to at least be willing to short this thing if the trend breaks. And there's a huge gap over about 69.4 or so on SLV. So I think 69.4 to about 69.8 this long, and if it breaks out that top, look for a bit of an exit into that 69.8 into 70. Pops Mafia, before we go, I think we're going to Adair in a quick little second. Pops Mafia, FOMC minutes are at 2 o'clock.
Ooh.
So Fed meeting minutes are at 2, just so you know. And let's go to Adair.
And don't worry, we are going to talk about those minutes right here on Money Talks. I actually have an infographic to that effect that should be hopefully out soon as well, ahead of that, to explain things a bit more. In the meantime, let's talk about this US dollar. We are still in that downtrend here, again, from that double top we made in November of 2025. In order to break that, we'd actually have to break out of this high that we made on December 19th, the 98.7 area, right now around 98.2, and in a bit of an uptrend from these local lows made last Wednesday. With regards to economic data, understandably not a lot of it right now. We did, though, get the Chicago PMI coming in at 9:45 a.m., 43.5, better than the expected 39.5, so higher than expected Chicago PMI at 9:45. Let's talk here about this Fed meeting minute. I think it'll be interesting here to see the more details with these dissenting votes, because 25% of the Fed, 3 out of the 12 voting members actually dissented. Stephen Myron right here, he actually voted in favor of a larger cut, a 50 basis point cut versus the 25 basis point cut that the Fed elected. And then we also had Schmid over here and Goolsbee right over here. They also both voted in favor of no cut. So we had 2 more hawkish dissenting votes, 1 more dovish dissenting vote. Hopefully we'll get more details in those FOMC meeting minutes coming out around 3 hours from right now. So again, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to tune in for that midday show and the minutes. But right now we're going to send you over to Neil and Obi.
I think our vol scans are required for that. Yeah, anything doing relative volume.
No, we were just talking about that rare stock because, and I said this to the open, if it was moving yesterday or in play yesterday, sometimes that's just enough, like whether it's Micron or whether it's rare, breaking over that prior day. That's why we're looking at silver, because there wasn't a heck of a lot right? There wasn't a heck of a lot that had like your traditional news. Like there weren't a lot of upgrades and downgrades. There's no earnings to deal with coming into the end of the year. You know, you're not going to have a bunch of conferences that are going on or product launches or a lot of economic data this week. So the simple question of, did it move yesterday? Did it do relative volume yesterday? If the answer was yes, you're probably looking at it today. That's why I'm going to be a little bit more focused on silver. But while we're doing that, I do see I saw one name that Mitch pointed out that for the first time Stephen Knight just mentioned, and that's going to be Opendoor. It's not doing much, but I didn't get a chance to talk about this. I thought I'd get a shot after Mitch, but then we sort of got into our own watch list. Opendoor is trending down into a pretty big level at $5. So there's your $5 level, but even if it just holds this trend down all the way to 4, patiently waiting. I don't know what Eric Jackson thinks about it, but I am very interested in this stock when it breaks this trend line on the daily, because when it does decide to go, like look at the last couple of up rallies, like 4 days from $5 to 9, 2 days from $6 to 8. So a trend break here, I think, is going to be a great swing opportunity, but you just have to be patient with it. So thank you for pointing that one out. I don't care about holding it in the long term or anything along those lines. I'm just looking for a swing trade in the stock, and I'm willing to be very, very patient with it. Adara.
Doesn't appear to be super thickly traded today, but keep an eye here in JTAI, Jet AI. This is a penny stock, announcing about a minute ago that they have withdrawn their public offering. The reason that they gave was, quote, unfavorable market conditions for withdrawal. So again, JTAI withdrawing their public offering. Bit of action on this penny stock. Does not appear to be super heavily traded this morning, though. As we send you back over to Obi and Neil.
I wonder when they put that in their name. You know, I just want to.
They're trying.
I mean, everybody's.
Man,
everybody's trying, Neil.
If you had
it's not like.
No, but if you're a CEO of a penny stock, it's doing
minimum.
nothing and probably trash. You got to do what you got to do, man. I'm not hating on that at all.
Everyone's trying.
I mean, you're a penny stock. You got to do what you got to do sometimes. And I don't even know if that's what Jet AI did. I mean, probably.
Look at this. I just have to hold on. Let me just go back to the beginning.
Well, that's pretty bad.
Whoa. Do you really think this chart was at $4,000?
You really got to try it. You got to try it.
I think they were named a Jet AI in 2021, right? They were the first to the party. I'm pretty sure. No, absolutely not. I'm being sarcastic for those of you who don't get that. But repeat offender seems like this one here. Just doing anything and everything to kind of catch a bid and maybe dump some shares on unsuspecting players here. You can see that maybe
that is absurd, that chart.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, how many of these have we seen, Neil? Like, stuff like that exists in the market, and if you can find some edge around it, which there is.
Like, as far as, when you look at a chart like that, your Jet AI today, your Jet Quantum tomorrow, your Jet Fusion next week, Jet Space, that also
next year. Don't forget for Jet Space next year.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, wow. I didn't even know that stock was that
Don't get
bad.
sold to, yeah.
Anyways.
Oh, Micron.
Wow, that stock is trash. So remember that Google reversion?
Yes.
It's at VWAP.
It's at VWAP.
So
the market, look at the market.
The market is going.
The market reversion, I think, is a much better trade there.
Well,
because it's just like Google's very beta.
It is, but I got to look at what might not be. We'll see what happens, but the fourth trade on silver could be upcoming. And what I don't love about it, it's a little bit closer to the third trade than I would like. Like, you waited for it to show another entry, then yeah, another entry. But now bouncing off the support, I'm playing it up at about 68.8. Here for real. Only about 90 seconds to go, and we're going to throw to the midday. Understand, of course, always doing double duty today. So
yeah, I'll be there in a second. Yeah.
And because it's of last week, the back office isn't in. Normally we do what's for lunch.
It's empty back there.
But there's nobody in the back office, so
lunch.
The caterer is not bringing lunch, which means we get our own. I have no idea what I want today. Yesterday I was like, for some reason, I had just a bad inclination to get McDonald's, which sometimes it's just what you do. I'm definitely not doing that again today. That's just nasty 2 days in a row.
Yeah, you can't be eating McDonald's.
But I have literally no idea what I want. If you guys have any ideas, like, what should I get for lunch, Dad?
Burger.
I hate having to think about it, to be honest with you. I just had McDonald's yesterday.
I know. I don't know if I'm going to do a burger again today.
I don't even know what I want.
Pops Mafia saying hot dog. We got some pizza. We got tacos. Yeah, this is a taco place.
JP Suede.
There's a Birria Katrina.
There's a 0% chance I'm getting tilapia. Like what are we even talking about? I hate Palantir. No, we're not.
Why? Don't do that to yourself.
We're not doing that. I don't even know where I would get
Maybe a good fish. I mean, tilapia fish and chips. Oh, that's going to be a little heavy as well.
Ramin said in my ear, shawarma's not a bad idea.
Shawarma across the street is pretty.
It's not a bad idea.
It's not bad. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's kind of my reaction as well. They're not bad.
Oh, before I gotta get
but,
super chat before we go.
Acceptable. I'll say they're good. They're fine. They're fine. They do well. I mean, when you're really hungry, they're
the only thing that matters right now. Do you know this one, Obi?
Which one?
Ian Rispetto. Who are the 5 greatest traders of all time? Dylan, and Dylan. Because he spits hot. That's what.
Boom.
Oh. Dylan. And if you don't know, then you're not watching enough Chappelle Show. If you're not watching enough Chappelle Show, that's okay. To each your own. Great show.
I'd say
great show.
Drunken Miller's up there. Jesse Livermore is definitely up there.
Oh, you're being serious.
Paul Tudor Jones is definitely up there.
No, Ian Rispetto, I don't think you were asking seriously. You know what? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. Seriously.
And maybe some of the best traders, what if they never talked about it?
No, the way my personal guess would be the 5 greatest traders in actuality you probably never heard of. Because why would you know their names? They would have made their money and just crushed it. And if they had that much of an edge to be the best traders of all time, then why the heck would they want what they do to be even remotely public to a certain extent? I think a lot of traders, like if you're like myself or like any other day trader out there, most of what you do or have edge with, you're not necessarily going to be. There's certain, like we talked about this yesterday, certain situations you might actually do enough volume that it matters. But if you're trading SLV today, you're trading IBIT, like you're not moving enough shares that it matters. Whoa, but if you are, then you wouldn't be out there necessarily, spreading your business. Like when I can go in and out of silver. Oh, it didn't break. Why am I out if it didn't break? I'm just going to quickly re-enter. It didn't break the trend. I can be in and out and not really affect the volume. 41 million in volume, I'll be fine. And a lot of big traders, that's one thing they have to contend with, and you wouldn't be saying all of your entries and exits, and wouldn't be doing that if you were at that level. But it is past 11 o'clock. I was trying to push it a little bit so you could mosey on over. You do you. Yeah, he'll move over. Obi's going to move over and join Sharif. We'll give him a little bit of a chance to get settled. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. But we've got Sharif. I know he's going to be looking at some small cappers for sure. There are plenty of them, including, well, I don't know if you're going to be involved in that EXO that's on the list, but that's one of them, Xena moving as well. I know you see them. So let's go on over. We've got Sharif. He'll be joined by Obi in a minute.